Hello and welcome to the Irrational Passions 2018 Editorial Game of the Year thing. I am Alex O'Neill. I'm the editor-in-chief of IrrationalPassions.com. I'm going to be your moderator as we go through this spiraling, horrifying nightmare that is Game of the Year. Joining me.
That's the spirit.
That's the spirit. Joining me in this first ever inaugural Editorial Game of the Year deliberations, we have social media editor. I don't know your full title, George.
Social media editor, senior staff member. I don't know.
Social media editor George Cruz Alvarez.
Hello there, everyone. I'm George.
Apologist.
I'm the guy. I assume so. This is going to be on the main feed. Not everyone's familiar with us, other than like Alex shouting us out once in a while for our stuff.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who tweets.
I'm the one who tweets. I mention you on every episode of the podcast, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because you run the social stuff. So.
He knows.
I want to Photoshop a picture of George's face on Walter White's instead of "I'm the one who knocks." Have it be "I'm the one who tweets."
I'm the one who tweets. Also, big boy editor, editor at large, managing editor. I think a lot of different editor terminology applies to Logan Wilkinson.
Hey, that's me.
Hey, it's you.
Hey, hi, hello.
This is very exciting because y'all have been on board for like 2 years now, but now we get to yell about games.
This is me and George's third game of the year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but the first ones that you're going to get your own thing for, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also joining us, and this is the reason that we get to do this. We have all these people now with all these opinions, and they were like,
"There's dozens of us.
I have takes, blah blah blah." There's literally a half dozen of us.
I was going to say, I don't know if,
which is fun. We have video producer, beautiful boy,
yes,
Smash lover, Mike Burgess.
Likes to smash.
Love to smash. We're here to talk about old video games.
We have also video producer, host of Video Game Book Club, Professor RPG himself, Scott White.
Oh, hey, guys.
And apparently now also video producer, also
I wouldn't say that.
also loves to write, also loves to smash, Quentin Hoffman.
I would like to. I'm the scum that walked in off the street. Thanks.
You're the bottom of the barrel, but like we got to represent everyone here.
Junior, associate, intern, backwash.
Sometimes you just need bottom of the barrel.
Hell yeah, baby. That's
You
what
just
I'm here
need
for.
when you need a take, you ask Quentin.
I mean, you don't ever need those.
If you are a fan of IrrationalPassions.com and the written word that comes there, you will notice that we are missing one editor at large, Jared Green.
Who made the wisest choice of us all?
Who is the smartest of us all? He was
and the most handsome.
Yeah, and absolutely the most handsome. No offense to any of us, but like, you know, when you
I mean,
Greek
none
god,
he's
fancy.
He's a fucking Greek god.
Yeah, to us.
Man, he was wearing cufflinks when we recorded Video Game Book Club.
Yes.
It's like, what? Well, this just got classed up a bunch.
Yeah. Jared's not
classy
here
as
because I believe the quote that he gave me directly was "fuck Game of the Year."
Mm-hmm. That's accurate.
But so for those who have listened to Irrational Passions podcast for a great long while, you know that we have been doing Game of the Year since the beginning, and over time, I'd like to think that we've refined it down to something really, really interesting and that favors kind of like the flavor of that show, which is kind of silly, kind of dumb. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we do like feel really strongly about the things that we like and that we love. And my hope is that this Game of the Year show for the editorial team will be a little bit. I don't want to dunk on my own thing because I've been doing it.
Dunk on it,
but like it'll be maybe like a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more from like a critical perspective. Like Nabish and Scott and Tony, they don't review video games. They don't like necessarily write or cover about video games, even if they are passionate about them and podcast about them every week. This is coming from a very much more in the industry, in the head of someone who is covering games perspective. So hopefully this will be like a little bit more of like a serious flavor, while also still having a lot of fun. But we're gonna get into it. So there should, if everything goes according to plan, this is the first one of these that we're recording. there should be 4 episodes of this, with 2 categories covered per episode. So it's a lot less categories than the 37 categories we do on Irrational Passions Podcast. Again, because we kind of blow through most of those because some of them are dumb and whatnot. This is going to be a little bit more in-depth conversations. A couple things I want to say at the top, right? So this goes for everyone listening, goes for everyone recording this, right? This is nothing personal, right? Our opinions are probably not going to line up with your opinions. I know this seems redundant to say, but as it is the Irrational Passions Editorial Game of the Year Deliberations, not the Joe Schmo Game of the Year Deliberations. So if we don't line up with you, Mr. Joe Schmo.
Fuck Joe.
Yeah, I was gonna say some guy named Joe Schmo just got really upset.
Yeah.
We just lost. We lost
Immediately.
We lost him day one with that one.
We lost him.
Yeah, he's
For what it's worth, Joe Schmo has probably been picked on a lot and gotten the short end of the stick most of his life.
And we're just tacking it on, man.
Yeah, we're helping out
yeah.
Lemon and salt in the wound.
Absolutely. But if we come to a thing or dunk on a game that you like, our intent obviously not to dunk on anything, is if it just doesn't line up with you, this, we're just 6 dudes, also we're just 6 white dudes. I understand that we don't necessarily, 5 white dudes and George Cruz, who's
immediately problematic. We haven't even started talking yet.
You're right. I'm sorry. I'm used to not having
thank God for
non-white
post.
dude on the show. Talk about problematic, but we understand that 6 men, not necessarily reflective of all of the opinions out there, not necessarily reflective of all the different kinds of things out there. We're just doing our best out here, okay? So don't take anything personally. That goes for all of us and for everyone listening. There are probably going to be some spoilers in here over the course of the days. They have to be fair game for some conversations, right?
They will definitely be.
We have to talk about some things.
Alucard is Dracula backwards.
Oh, fuck.
Baby.
When you beat Dracula, there's a secret ending where the castle flips and turns upside down.
Holy shit, man! And also, I haven't finished Red Dead Redemption 2, like many people listening probably. I understand that I'm gonna learn some things
I will
about Red
never
Dead.
finish Red Dead Redemption 2.
I get it. I'm just saying, come into it with the right expectation. We're gonna try and have a good time. I hope you all do too. It's the first time we're doing this for Editorial Team, so we're still kind of learning as we go.
Yay, video games!
Yay, video games!
Yay.
So with all the preamble done, you will be able to watch this as well. I'm sorry that video is gonna be a little chunky, and I apologize for that. My computer can only handle so much. Maybe someone else will stream the archive for the next one because my computer can't keep up. We'll figure it out. But let's get right into the 2 categories that we have for today. The first category that we're going to be talking about is Best Old Game of the Year. A lot of people confused as to what this category might mean. I think the biggest thing is a game that didn't necessarily come out this year, but you had a valuable or important takeaway or experience with that this year in 2018, and it is important to 2018 for you. It also could be something that maybe you missed and didn't get to until this year, but I think it is more the first than the latter. It is something that really is part of your 2018 that isn't necessarily a game that came out this year, so it's not going to get reflected or get the praise it deserves in the other categories, but hopefully we can give it a little bit of love here. So I'm gonna start by going through all the nominees that we have written down, and then we can add stuff and then we can remove stuff if necessary.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
Did we ever start recording our audio? Were we supposed to do that?
No, dude.
Okay,
No,
I'm trying to make sure. Because I just had on top of it. Like, wait, I didn't ever hit a button.
See, now the audience knows that we're just a bunch of.
I know.
Our illusion's broken.
I know. I was just kind of got them. Like, wait, what the fuck? What are like?
I will say, because I said this before you got here, Logan, the audio is all dependent on Discord. So if you drop out of the call or some hiccup happens there, keep in mind that's going to be reflected in the audio. So if we have technical difficulties,
Don't ditch the call midway through the podcast.
Yeah, we can pause and
That's the plan, baby.
All right, best old game of the year: Life is Strange Season 1, Fallout New Vegas, Katamari Damacy, Luminez, Prey, and then somebody wrote hell yeah in parentheses here.
Who would have that been?
The Evil Within 2, R4 Ridge Racer Type 4. I didn't even know that was a video game. Panzer Dragoon Orta, Tales of Vesperia, Batman Arkham Asylum, Dead Space 2, Dark Souls, and then there's like a conversation afterwards. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Year Walk, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, No Man's Sky, Fortnite, Hollow Knight, The Lion's Song, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 through 4. As somebody who's been listening to IP, and I appreciate that. Destiny 2, Burnout Paradise, Shadow of the Colossus, Splatoon 2, 1979 Revolution Black Friday, Rayman Legends was just added to the list.
There we go.
Super Mario Bros. For the original Nintendo Entertainment System was just added to the list. I think we're wow, you read that. I think somebody's having a little bit too much fun.
Scott.
No.
I'm gonna remove those last three real quick.
So,
Is there anything missing from this list?
Well, for best old game, you could add tons of games. You could.
But again, they have to be relevant
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
six of
yeah.
us in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
they have to be have some relevancy in 2018.
Like, I could throw down
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers Brawl here because I did
Yeah.
play through Subspace Emissary this year.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
Like, I would maybe, if we didn't already have a ton, I might add just for myself Final Fantasy 3 because I really got into the randomizer this year.
it's on the record now, so like this is the record.
This is
So
the record.
we
Well,
won't
that's-
consider that because we have enough to consider already. But like Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 3
We can
randomizer,
shout it
I
out
spent a
and
lot of time with this year, and I really, even the community behind it in their Discord, good group of guys and gals. So
Mhm.
Okay.
I would say, like, maybe we could shout out a couple things that we don't necessarily think would make the list, but we want to mention. Obviously, I mean, there's one clear winner, and it's Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 through 4. But, like, you know, you can't top that. I will say, I didn't say this. One thing I forgot. I tried to get everything in my little preamble, but we're going to narrow this down to one winner and two runners-up.
All right. So, as George Cruz Alvarez, lover of old games, I'm gonna go first because I put a bunch of fucking nonsense on here. A lot of people talking about R4 Ridge Racer Type 4. Just a lot
Really?
of people out here talking about it. Let me tell you about the PlayStation Classic and how much
Georgia
it's,
has made up friends.
and how much it's bad.
righty and lefty.
Is it bad?
So the PlayStation Classic specifically for Ridge Racer. So okay.
Okay.
So the PlayStation Classic came out. The emulation isn't great. Ridge Racer is one of those games that suffers from it, and it reminded me about how good Ridge Racer is. So I played it and thought, man, that game's fucking good. And then I saw that someone released a sort of tribute album to Ridge Racer Type 4 like the last week, and I listened to that, and I was like, man, that's a good ass video game. We can remove Ridge Racer Type 4 from the list. But I want people to know
It's
that
a
Ridge
good
Racer Type
game.
4 is a video game you can play.
You said
The
your
year of our
piece.
Lord
Was
2018.
was that one of the PAL versions that they used?
It wasn't even. It was North American. So that was the one that was like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on with this machine because this is a North American game and it ain't running well.
They
So,
owned it up somehow still.
Let me ask
Yeah.
a question to people. Would Spyro Reignited Trilogy fit in this category? Is that something that would
I
settle?
mean, we have Shadow of the Colossus, so yes.
nah,
Well, Shadow of the Colossus came out last year. I mean, even the remake came out last year.
No, the remake came out in
The
February.
Nah,
Remake
that's
was this year.
I thought it was January.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
I was
January.
thinking. Never mind. I was thinking Last Guardian.
how about you put original Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage on this list? Because I'll tell you what,
That
I
game's
was
all
sitting
right.
down with
God.
my significant other, and we were playing Spyro, and I was like, you know what's a good video game? The original Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, because
She's
it
like-
kind of just made me want to play
Shit's
Spyro
got
2.
Spyro 2 is
She
good,
was just
man.
like, all right, Gramps.
Whatever, old man.
I don't know. I feel like honestly, for me, Spyro like it's so well done. It feels like a reimagining of those games, and like
Mhm.
it's just like
But
completely.
it is
I think
like exactly those games. So
it's
Yeah.
sort of like in design, it's the same game. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Actually, I guess.
okay, we can put it on there and keep it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I
I'm fine with
really
it, too.
like those.
I had a good time. I beat the first 2 games and then like hit the third game. Was kind of like I'm good, but I did have a good time still.
They're very well done.
I need to play
George's-
Spyro game. I've never played a Spyro game.
In George's old games that need to be removed here, Panzer Dragoon Order was added to Xbox One backwards compatibility. That was a video game that costed $90 before that, and that is a good video game.
Okay.
So I want to
finally
let you
need
folks
it.
know out there,
It's
you should
good.
play Panzer Dragoon.
But no
Yes.
one gives a
I played
shit.
too.
And we're removing it from the list. I'm just-
And they're remaking Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2 next year, so
I don't trust them.
no, damn.
All right.
A couple specific questions. Actually, you know what? So I only really have like one horse in this race, and that's Hollow Knight. I'm gonna say I'm gonna bump that up. Just so like we can asterisk that one. Like we're not cutting it. I don't necessarily want to talk about it right now. I'm just moving it out of the way.
That's definitely the 100-pound gorilla in the room here. That's not-
The 100-pound.
There's kind of two ways to go about this. From my hours of experience yelling at Tony Scott and Nobishin. I almost combined Scott and Nobishin's names there for a second.
Snobishin?
Scottishin.
Not the Scott. So that's like either we cut like the really obvious ones or we highlight the ones that we feel really strongly about.
Okay.
Does anybody feel
Okay.
really strongly about any of the games?
You know what? I was really
Wow.
impressed with the support Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze had this year.
Funky Kong is in it now.
Funky
so.
Kong,
Yeah.
Funky mode is here. That's
Yeah,
here to
I
stay.
I don't think it needs to be on the list. And
Okay.
I think
Yep.
no.
Bye, Funky Kong. We loved you. We barely knew ye.
I would say personally for me, Splatoon 2.
Okay.
I like Splatoon 2 in terms of this list, but that's just me.
I like
Octo
that.
Expansion came out.
Octo Expansion came out, like they had like
Okay.
another entire year of free content added to that game. Like it's still being supported. And I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. So I like that game a lot.
I'm with you. I think a similar thing could be
Mhm.
said for Prey, which got a couple of things this year. So
Mhm.
I don't know if people feel strongly about Prey, but
I think someone does.
Someone maybe, and it's not the person who normally feels strongly about Prey. Okay, so I would like Prey bolded. I think if there's one theme for me this year is how I sort of came to discover Prey.
it's
that's
literally
one of the-
George's whole year.
Yeah, for me that's one of the big games. So yeah, I don't know. I feel strongly about that one. I'm going to remove Burnout Paradise. I just want to let people know that it is another video
Great
game
game.
that is out right now.
I've
Mhm.
Very
never
good.
played Burnout Paradise.
It is
Ooh,
one of-
Paradise is so
Ooh.
good.
It's one of the
Yeah,
greatest
that's
racing
cool.
games ever made. Like,
Okay.
legit.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I will also go to Katamari Damacy. Katamari Damacy is a
Yeah, I didn't
re-roll,
even play that because like Jazz isn't on the podcast. So, like, I didn't
It's
realize I
out.
actually played this.
and
Yeah.
it's Katamari Damacy is a game that people should
It's
play.
good. Yeah.
So I'll delete it from the list as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna bold the Lion Song because that's a video game that made me cry.
Did that come out this
Mm.
year? Or no?
For Nintendo Switch, yeah.
Switch
Okay.
port. Did it? Can it come out last year?
Technically on PC.
Yeah. It's one of those Hollow Knight situations.
Okay.
I think it's weird. Like I considered like pitching as we did like a big category pitch for all of us. I considered pitching like a most important Switch port, or like
I just don't think there would have been enough for that.
yeah. I mean, I think there would have been,
Yeah.
but I don't know how interesting the conversation would have come out of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think it's more that. Yeah.
So
Old games that made an impact
I'm-
in the year of our Lord 2018. Fortnite, but maybe not for this group.
Yeah.
That's good now.
It can go ahead.
I don't even think that's an old game.
Fortnite,
I have a hard time considering that an old game.
It's not even technically released, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
That
still
is
in-
very true,
Out,
actually.
So yeah. So go ahead and delete that. Oh, I'm sorry. That was not my
disqualified. Yeah,
line.
I mean, like I get it.
Yeah,
People had a
not
good time with Fortnite this year. I don't know if any of us are those people.
I've
I don't
still
know
not
what meets
played.
the criteria for this category. Best
Yeah.
old game of the year, Fortnite. Which
Fortnite
is,
Save the World is really cool, and I'm just saying, if you gave it a shot and maybe forked out $50, you'd have a
Yeah.
good time.
I'll
I
say
enjoyed Save the World. I played that.
I'll say like I'm very excited to do. So we're gonna hopefully do more like group stream type things in 2019. I'm very excited to just watch Logan play Fortnite Battle Royale. That's like,
Oh, that'd be good.
yeah.
Because he's
Does he have a response, Logan? That's like a top
think
3 most excited
For
thing
starters, I'll get some chicken dinners. That's a PUBG thing, right?
That's a PUBG
Yeah,
thing.
no.
I'll
They-
eat some food, whatever the analogy
Logan
is.
is off to a fantastic start.
Excellent.
I'll
with
eat,
Fortnite.
I'll eat the chocolate cake.
Are you gonna
Call it.
steal rap dances in my
So
continued?
here's my thing about this. And I saw this today because George posted it in Slack like
Yeah.
the hero that he is.
Mhm.
And I'm very upset about it. I'm heated about it. The fact that, they just straight up stole the Carlton dance, and he's
Mhm.
finally suing them to get his money that he's definitely owed because they should have stole that dance. That is the Carlton dance.
That's the Carlton.
They
Good
have
on him.
stolen so many dances at this point. I think it's
So
like
I
what,
support
5 or 6.
Carlton and 2 milli, but this ain't
Yeah.
it. And Fortnite's gone.
This is.
Yeah.
It's funny. I
I'm
think
gonna-
Tales of Vesperia is like a 2019 best old game of the year game.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that as well.
Yeah.
But I respect. You know, I always do. It's one of my favorite games ever.
Tales of Vesperia presents best old game.
Tales of Vesperia presents best old game of the year. I played that game through this year,
Yeah.
and Scott, you did
I
too.
did too. That's why I added it. Having played through the entire series again, like in a year, it really stood out. That's why I added it.
Yeah. Do you think like that is like the best of those games?
It after replaying all of them and being able to look at them back to back, I would say it's it's my favorite. I think it's the best technically sound. I think it's held up the best.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Vesperia kind of they started going kind of the Square Final Fantasy route where they started doing some weird shit
Yep.
with things. And not to say I think they did their weird shit better than Square has done Final Fantasy's weird shit, but I think it was just the characters and everything. I think it's just a fantastic game.
Yeah, I think it is something that we can revisit next
Mhm.
year because like we'll have that the definitive edition. We'll have like content that we didn't get before. It'll be in
Yeah.
HD.
More of us will also have potentially played it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
better
graduate
fucking
next
play
year.
it.
Yeah, please,
Yeah.
please play it.
So-
It's so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a fantastic video game, and I actually
Yeah.
played it this year on my Wii U.
Uh,
A great console.
that.
fantastic game. Over at the
Um,
dusty ass Wii U. Right.
I remember that
I don't-
dusty picture.
Yeah.
So someone already highlighted it as in I was about to kick it out of the game, but
Somebody just highlighted it.
Somebody was like,
Yeah.
"All right, we feel good about it.
I'm not against it, but
We can leave it there for
Um,
now."
I mean, it's one of those. It was also ported to Switch this year.
yeah, that's why
Yeah.
it's here as well.
I don't think
Um,
Dark Souls is going to contend on this list.
No.
No.
I think Dark Souls 1 is
Yeah.
great. I'm glad it got remade. I've been asking for it for a
Mhm.
remaster, I should say. I've been asking for it for a while. The best part was like going into those worlds and seeing it full of players again was really, really
Yeah.
cool.
Oh wow, that does sound cool.
But it doesn't necessarily need to be on this list.
Shout out to Demon Souls that died officially this year.
Pour one
What's
out.
up, man? Pour one out for that beautiful game.
That's a game that needs a remaster.
Yeah, dude. I really hope Blue Hole is working on that. That's
See,
or not
I
Blue
would
Hole.
love that.
Blue Point.
fun fact: that's the only
It's
Souls
little-
game I've ever played.
Oh, dude, nice. You haven't played Bloodborne?
I've played Demon Souls, and I haven't played. I've played Demon Souls. That's it.
It's like
Exactly. They peaked. I'm done.
So
Plus,
Batman Arkham Asylum and Dead Space 2 are
Yeah.
in that tricky thing. We started book club this year, which I love
Mhm.
book club. I think it's great.
yeah.
And I love that those kinds of games can be on this list too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I feel necessarily as strongly about either of them. If of the two, Arkham Asylum for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I feel
Yeah.
strongly enough about either of them one way or the other that they should
Yeah.
be like top 3. How are you guys feeling as the other people that played those games?
I pretty much am on
Yeah.
the same page as Dead Space 2. Like I did enjoy going back to it and like being
Mhm.
reminded of like that very much era of video games. But like
Mhm.
outside of that, there are things that I had liked a lot more in 2018 that were
Yeah.
from other years. Like
Yeah.
there's other stuff I had a lot more enjoyment of.
Having played Dead Space 2 for the first time, I don't think it aged as well as Arkham did. So like if we were to have one of them on the list, I would say Arkham hands down over Dead Space 2.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't feel strongly enough, I guess, about either of them to necessarily have them for this list. I
think I think out of all of us from Video Game Book Club and Batman, I think I was the one who went through the most transformation through that game.
Because you didn't love it, right?
I walked in to that game incredibly negative, but excited to see, like, this is the thing from the Arkham series that I actually liked. Let's see if it holds up. And I remembered why I liked it in the first place. But that being said, and I was really glad we did it. I think there are some things I would like to see go up on this list apart from Batman Arkham Asylum. And I like the story of it being our first book club, and for me that I fell in love with that game again. But I am okay seeing it go. Logan, I know you didn't play it, but you like Batman Arkham Asylum, I assume. But
I love Batman Arkham. Batman Arkham Asylum is legitimately like the first game basically in my whole life that I ever like 100%ed.
Nice.
Oh wow, nice.
I love, like, I got every Riddler trophy, everything. It was the third game I ever got on my PS3, I think. That's and so I played that over Christmas break because I got it for.
Is it the best old game of 2018 though?
So I mean, like, again, as a person who's admittedly like the least, like, I didn't play any old games really this year, so I have no real stake in this horse. I think Arkham Asylum's a great video game.
Conceptually,
it's not my favorite Batman game, but it is a great video game. I would, at the least, would say it's like it makes sense. It would be like at least like a contender for a top 3 spot. I would say.
Maybe keep it around for now.
Of the book club games, I think it's the one that should stay in the conversation.
I would agree to that.
I put 1979 The Revolution just because it's a video game Quinn reviewed, and I remembered it existed and that it was on sale on PSN. Does this need to be here? No? Okay, well.
No.
Shout out to that.
8.5 irrationalpassions.com.
Pour one out for 1975.
It's a hell of a review,
Yeah.
No Man's Sky had a hell of a year.
Yeah, what a year for No Man's Sky.
It completely transformed into like basically it was like a new game or like a sequel in some weird ways.
It's like what they initially promised.
Yeah.
I mean, some would say that No Man's Sky was never bad, and that somebody would say it was good. Irrational Passions 7 or 8.
Right.
I gave it
One might say it was just kind of mediocre.
Yeah, it was good. It was totally fine. Like, it was never bad. It was always kind of overblown, I think, the negative reaction. I don't think there was some sort of like malicious smear campaign lies from Hello Games. But yeah, No Man's Sky is incredible. What it happened.
Certainly had a transformation this year in a way that just doesn't happen.
My problem with this on the list is that did any of us spend any significant amount of time with No Man's Sky this year?
A little bit. I bought it.
Like, how much did you play, Quinn?
I probably played like 25 hours.
Okay.
Like, do you feel strong about this being a top 3 game?
Okay, so what Atlas has done, I mean, not Atlas.
Hello Games.
Persona 5.
What Hello Games has done.
That would be a good old game.
Yeah, let's just put Persona. No, it's alright. It's fine.
What that studio has done for this game is crazy to think about, and it's like fucking like even crazier to fathom. How they rebooted their game and kept updating it and like kept feeding to their fan base
for free too.
Yep.
That's the main thing. I don't think it needs to be on this list, but it is something which is that what that studio has done is remarkable.
Yeah.
Knowledge for that.
And that's my thing is where I feel like in terms of like what has been like the biggest like change over this year, this might be the actual winner, but I feel like none of us really have like an emotional stake.
Yeah, we're not like
No Man's Sky
invested in that one personally.
And since it's our kind of list, I feel like it's just a game that
and it might
even recognition for what it's done, but
it might even show up in 2019 because they're still updating it.
Yeah,
absolutely, it's totally true.
That's another game that should be a great like IP like plays kind of game, at least in some way. You can't really team up in the same way. But, like,
you can.
You get the 4-player multiplayer now, so that actually would be a really fun group stream game. Yeah, go for it.
My thing with No Man's Sky is for like this best old game of the year. I think they were playing catch up because of their own screw up. And the issues they got into back when the game launched was because of the hype that they themselves generated, because of the things they themselves said. So I completely agree that it's awesome what they've done with it. I'm glad that they've added all these things, but it's like it felt more, I would be much more willing to include it on this list if it didn't have the issues back at launch, that it was things they were doing just because they really wanted to and not because they were trying to fulfill promises they had made years ago.
I still don't feel like the issues they had at launch were actually that. I mean, again, like No Man's Sky was a good game when it launched. The argument that it was ever like some sort of like disaster, I think were always overblown. Like the game was still good. I think it's definitely more of what maybe we thought it might be. But like I think the hype wasn't necessarily their fault alone at all.
I think
they promised a lot of things and even said live that there would be features that were blatantly not
just
there.
As much, I mean, people I hate the term, but like gamers' fault as it is like
The gaming populace. So
like it is like killer
crime.
games, and that's also like Sony PR's fault too, right? Like what they did with that game. Like I don't think it's just. I'm not laying this to the feet of Sean Murgan. Like I think that game was always good. I think now it's like great. But I also think that again, we agree that
I'm laying at the feet of Andrew House, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna make here. I think they're
either way, neither one was one on the list in top 3.
Yeah, and I think even all that's been said, I think we gave the game a pretty good shout out.
Yeah.
I'm
What it's done is crazy.
There's a lot of
very
nuance
glad
in
it's
that
on my
conversation.
shelf.
Yeah, it's had a good turnaround.
I look at it and I'm like, I'm excited for when the next thing happens, and I'm gonna on it. So like, it's a weird story. Like it's just keep happening, and not only that, but they announced a new game this year.
And that game looks really interesting.
Yeah.
What kind of pitch they've given here?
The last bonfire, I think it was.
Yes,
right?
Yes, the last bonfire. Can I say this real quick? I'm sorry,
Alex,
George.
Can you read the list as it is right now for the listeners?
Oh yeah, sure. So we've cut things down to now Life is Strange Season 1, Fallout New Vegas, Lumines, Prey, The Evil Within 2, Batman Arkham Asylum, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Yearwalk, Hollow Knight, The Lion's Song, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 through 4, which I was about to cut, but it's fine. Destiny 2, Shadow of the Colossus, Splatoon 2, Rayman Legends, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, and of those, we have Prey, Hollow Knight, The Lion's Song, and Splatoon 2 highlighted. I want to say this. The Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games are pretty decent.
They are good.
And really, that's all that needs to be said. But I was happily surprised by that.
It was a damn good bang for your buck.
Yeah, I got all 4 of them for $38, and
it's damn good.
I had a good time with them this year.
I same.
Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 1, a great at one point PlayStation 3 exclusive, which I remember some kid in 8th grade telling me he was super hype about it while I was in this relationship with this girl I did not like.
What a story! What a tale!
And that's what I think about.
Love.
Here's the thing. It's weird for me, and I'm curious how you feel about this, Mike, that I loved my time with Destiny 2 this year, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it fits in this category.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that too. Like I was the one who actually put it down and put the question mark because it was like that thing of kind of like I would say like sort of No Man's Sky light of like Destiny 2 came out last year. I think people liked it, but it also like hit a point and then it kind of ran into a lot of issues. And then like the subsequent like content, like smaller content updates kind of just exacerbated that. And then Forsaken came this year, and then Forsaken was like, all right, this is what they should have done.
Yeah.
Like kind of playing catch up to an extent. So like I really enjoyed my time with Forsaken and like all the times we played, and like I will probably play more Destiny 2 in 2019 when more of this stuff comes out. But yeah, there's other games on here I like a lot more.
Yeah.
And
I would say
I'm glad Destiny 2 is at least in a better Destiny as a whole is in a better place than it has ever been in a while.
Yeah.
Not for Bobby Kotick's pocket, baby.
Yeah, baby. I'll say like for me it would be number 2, but I don't know like where it fits on this list. Obviously it's something that's very specific to just you and me, Mike, and if you're not like necessarily feeling super strongly about it, then like I don't necessarily have a leg to stand on here. I I really like Forsaken. I had a lot of fun with Forsaken. There's a possibility that Destiny 2 Forsaken might be a part of my personal top 10 list. I think, you know, they certainly went one way with the way that they're making that game, and it is for better and for worse, for sure. But there's no doubt that like the Dreaming City and everything that they did with that is some of the coolest like end game content. Like as far as like a MMO light type game, it is one of the best out there now, I think, and I think that's
For
really
sure.
cool.
I'm somewhat unrelated, but I'm super curious to see like next year when they get like a lot of competition with like Anthem's coming, Division 2.
Division 2's coming.
Like, I think there's one other game even that are like gonna go up against this, and I'm really curious to see them all kind of try and find a place and see if one comes out on top or what. But
for now we can say sayonara.
We can cut this.
I'm gonna cut one of my personals here. So I wrote down the video game known as Year Walk on here. So if for the folks at home who are not familiar with this video game that I'm talking about, this is developed by Sumogo, who at the Game Awards announced Sayonara Wild Hearts. I believe that's what that game's called.
That game looks awesome.
So I played this game of my own volition in the beginning of the fall. Jarek Green was very upset at the concept of it because while it is originally a mobile game, which is what Sumogo, the developer, was known for, they also made Device 6. It's on Wii U. And so I dug up my Wii U. If there's probably a picture somewhere out there from this year. Favorite George tweet of the year. My contender is the picture of my Wii U covered in dust. But what Year Walk is a sort of like horror game. It is like a mobile game that uses also a companion app that you need to decipher some of the like strange symbols and some of the backstory. I forget what culture it is making its story from, but it sort of builds upon like scary like urban legends. And I can't remember the culture off the top of my head, but I played it this year. It was a game that I never really thought about much. I was listening to GiantBomb's Game of the Year of 2013. Patrick Clevitt brought it up, and I was like, I need an excuse to dig up my Wii U. And I think it's so well done, especially because walking in, I was like, why is this the one platform that it's on? You can't play it on anything else other than, I think it's on PC as well, but it's on PC, Wii U, and mobile.
Interesting.
And the reason is because the way it really is like, it was a perfect game to go back to revisit the Wii U because it completely uses the 2-screen whole gimmick. Because there are things that can only be done on the bottom screen, but they can only be done because it's complementary to what you need to do. Like the companion app is right there. There's also a notepad, and there's like secrets in the instruction book, like in the instruction of the game. Like to get the secret ending of the game, you have to like decipher one last puzzle, and the clues for the puzzle are in the instruction book. But we can take it off. I thought it was really cool, and I thought it was fitting and exciting that Sumogo announced their new game this year. And so when they announced it, I was like, oh, I know those guys. I'm excited. But we can take it off. That's Year Walk, folks, if you're interested in something spooky. What's that?
That
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Okay. We're getting into the hard truths part of the podcast here. Shadow of the Colossus is a game that I love, but didn't really play this year, even though it got remade this year, which is a super bummer. That's kind of where I'm at.
It looks fucking good.
It looks good though.
I put that on the list. I was probably I wasn't gonna cut it just yet, but I was probably going to ultimately cut it because it was definitely that thing of I played it way back when on the PS2 when it first came out. Hadn't played it since till again earlier this year when they did that remaster, and it was just like I've never had like a remaster of a game like that. Like like one off like remind me why that game is so incredible, and like two like a newfound appreciation for just everything that's in that game. Like it's just it looks fucking incredible. It I think it probably plays the same as I remember it, which is like good and bad. If you're looking to play like an PS2 game, but I think like the combination of it being upgraded in such a impressive way on top of that, just
it plays better and that frame rate's better. That's for sure.
Yes. It definitely gave me a new appreciation for that. Like they did add like a couple tiny things to it, like some secret Easter eggy type stuff, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, ultimately, I'm glad that that remake exists. It should 100% exist. I'm glad
it runs at 50 frames per second on PS4 Pro gamers. Don't listen to this. Rise up and demand Blue Point patch that thing. 60 frames. Here we go, baby.
60 frames, baby.
60 or bust.
No, that game is like $12 right now on the holiday sale.
George, I just want to know how you feel about The Evil Within 2.
Oh man, so this was a sort of an odyssey.
It was.
So my wonderful partner who brought this, if you're watching the video, who brought me my Mexican hot chocolate.
Excellent.
While I talk about video games.
You still didn't answer my question.
He's like, this idiot at it again.
So she got me The Evil Within 2 because for Christmas last year, I was one of the stands of the original Evil Within. At the time, it was 2014. The new consoles just came out. It was Shinji Mikami's new thing. Resident Evil was in dire straits at the time. And I thought, I think I was a defender for that game more than it was actually worth. I think that the original game is still good, and there's definitely good ideas. And I couldn't imagine how tied it would be to this sequel. But yeah, I played The Evil Within 2. I felt good about it in the beginning, and then by the end of it, I was like, fuck this game.
Really?
And this game is interesting because it's the first time I read a piece of writing on a game that completely changed my outlook on the game and how I felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to look it up while we do this.
That's
but
right. I was supposed to read that. I never ended up reading it.
Yeah, it is incredible. But pretty much, I thought everything they do, and there's so many direct choices. Like, they take that game... Like, playing The Evil Within 1, it was so confusing, and you didn't know what the fuck was going on by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But once you sit down, and this may sound like very, like, come on, guy, who fucking cares? But there's so many little details that when you connect it all together, and even conceptualize what's actually going on, The Evil Within, the fact that people are, like, entering bathtubs and entering this, like, virtual space, and it's, like, being, like, all, like, altered into this, like, fetishistic, like horror, gory thing, and there's just so many layers to it that just like really, really spoke to me. I don't like the characters that much.
Yep.
I don't like Sebastian very much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it was the ride of revisiting The Evil Within, thinking about how I think about the original Evil Within, and then going back and playing the DLC for The Evil Within 1. And it just all came full circle to me because Evil Within 2 really is a sequel to that game. And not only that, but it's like the end cap.
Yeah.
Like for a game that's just, I'm sure Bethesda was like, can you guys make a Resident Evil game? I was like, sure, we could do that. There's just so much story and there's so much, like people care, like what they're doing, like they care for what they're doing. And I was really taken away from that. But yeah, I feel very good about The Evil Within 2. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel stronger about Prey. Okay. But I like The Evil Within 2 a lot, and that's not how I felt until I find this piece of writing, and I'll shout it out. But that's how I feel.
It's a really cool game, and like for me, I think like mechanically, all the stuff that they did with that game, like weirdly very influenced by like Metal Gear Solid 5 and in a lot of ways.
It's super Metal Gear Solid inspired.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, I think that's cool. It's like if you were to tell me what would be the biggest influence of The Evil Within 2 and it would be Metal Gear Solid 5, I would have been taken aback, but when you play that game
I am.
It makes a lot of sense. Like it's kind of like an open world horror game in a lot of ways for some of those sections. I think visually, it has some of the coolest. It does some of the coolest shit of like a horror game, and I think I'll ask you, George. Would you call The Evil Within? This is more of a joke, but would you call The Evil Within the Tron of horror games?
I mean, in that they're certainly going for a thing,
Yeah.
and everyone else in the room is like, I don't know, guys, but maybe someone else will be into this. So sure, go ahead and make your thing. I don't know.
You've never sold me on a game faster than saying, "Is this the Tron of video game?" So
it is. This piece is called "A Memory of Fire: Healing Through Revised Reenactment in the Evil Within 2." It is a 13th chapter essay written by James Howell, who wrote what many video game critics would consider to be one of the best pieces of video game writing, which is his Metal Gear Solid 2 essay. And yeah, again, that's Memory of Fire. It is fucking. It's really good. And honestly, there's a certain part of me that was like, there's no way these guys cared this goddamn much about the Evil Within, especially because this is even made by Shinji Mikami. This is the second one, at least.
It seems like,
but
yeah.
But it really, it all comes together, and it made for a game series that is so whacked out of its mind. It seems like it makes no sense. Once I was able to put it in perspective and what I just played, I really appreciated it. But that being said, I think The Evil Within 2 is a game people should play. But I don't think I want to keep it on the list.
Yeah, I'll say this as well. One of the coolest things for me, and I think I had like a few similar experiences with that, George, because I did end up playing it all the way through on New Game Plus again, which I very rarely do.
And the first person stuff's cool.
Yeah, the first person stuff's cool. The fact that you unlock letterboxing after you beat the game is really fucking good. But going and watching the announcement trailer, which upon first viewing made absolutely no sense, and then after you play the game and watch that trailer, it's like, oh, this is literally the whole game in this trailer. Yeah. But like how well that trailer is done and how they directed it, it's very cool.
Not only that, but like to your point, Alex, and what makes Evil Within 2 so cool, like that letterbox thing, it's not just a joke, because I think what the essay is so good, and I think it's clear in the video game, The Evil Within 2 is a video game that is plainly aware of the existence of The Evil Within 1, but not just like in the story of The Evil Within 1, but the game The Evil Within 1. Like, what was the critique of it? How did people feel about it? Like, the moments of The Evil Within 1 that were like mechanical, that people, the stuff that people would specifically remember from The Evil Within 1 is revisited in The Evil Within 2. In very smart, subtle ways. The letterbox being the most blatant one, like, oh yeah, this is the thing we know. But yeah, we can cut The Evil Within 2.
Cheers.
Got the Tango works.
All right, Fallout New Vegas. I'm gunning for you, Quinn.
Yeah, you're not the only one here on this one.
Let me tell you about The Outer Worlds. That game looks all right.
Yeah, that game looks all right. Did you play Fallout New Vegas this year?
Yeah. I played like 15 hours of it.
Okay.
Because it was like, I was just bitter about Red Dead. I was like, I'll play a game where it takes place on the West. New Vegas. No, New Vegas, it can get cut, but it might be one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
Just because it's so different and so interesting. And I think I stand by this, that it's the best Fallout game.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think a lot of people would be with you on that.
Yeah, it's so weird because like New Vegas is just such an oddity in of its own existence. And like I never quite got into it, but like I did play a good amount of it, enough to start peeling into the layers where it's like, oh, I think I see where they're going with this, and it's actually kind of cool. I think like one of the turnoffs for me ultimately was like it very much builds to like a choose your side type thing at the end, and I really didn't want to choose a side. But I think it's cool in that they create a world with these factions that feel so distinct, and they say Kaisar in that game a lot, and I think that.
And I might say that Fallout New Vegas may not be the best old game of 2018, but like a fine wine, every year Fallout New Vegas seems to get more popular and a better time. Like there's never been a better time to play Fallout New Vegas than in the year 2018 when Fallout 76 came out. But Quinn, I will just say quick before we cut it that I hear so many people say that how much they love about Fallout New Vegas, and I agree that it is a well put together game in terms of like story and characters and the world itself. But at the time, I went straight from 3 to New Vegas because I came in late to these games. and it didn't click with me, probably because I was so burnt out after 3. But I understand now with the distance that Fallout 3, in terms of story and world, there's not that much there.
No,
It was
kinda
just so engrossing at the time, and I wish that I felt as strongly about Fallout New Vegas. I hope that one day I'll go back to it. But
And I will say this before we actually cut it. I also replayed The Witcher 3 this year. So
all right,
that's
well,
my-
Hell yeah, Witcher 3. Let's go. I also replayed that this year.
I'm gonna put that picture of Geralt in the tub in the dock now.
Hell yeah, dude.
that's a good fucking
Hell yeah.
That's a good game.
But the thing is about The Witcher 3 is it's so full of like its world and understanding that it made me appreciate New Vegas more. Is like these little like that world both worlds operate very in a gray space. Like nothing you really do is good or bad. And that's something which made me appreciate New Vegas is seeing like that influenced The Witcher 3 and then having like back to it. Yeah, sure, New Vegas, like it has fucking shitty combat and all that. Yeah. But I too was burned from Fallout 3. In fact, I never finish 3 because I just got so tired of these super mutants, then like that shitty metro system where you have to go underground
It's
constantly.
not great.
Yeah.
It's not a
It's not
really
great.
good. It's bad actually.
Yeah, it's not great. Anyways,
New
Let's
Vegas
go.
better game, best Fallout game.
Rayman Legends is a great video game, Logan.
Yeah, this is the
I'm
only thing
glad
that I
you
have
dis-
to contribute here.
Yeah.
You discovered the truth of this game.
Yeah,
It's
Rayman
so
Legends
cool.
was a PS Plus game, I think, for June.
Yeah.
And I had never played a single Rayman's game before in my entire life
Fantastic.
before this.
Nice.
And I was like, it's a free game. George raves about this game, and I was like, I'm gonna give it a chance. I love
One of
platformers.
the best platformers of all time, I would
Yes.
say.
Absolutely. Yes. And as somebody who's played, I mean, like, I love platforms. It's one of my favorite genres. Like, it is a absolute new master. That game is incredible. Like,
Yes.
what it does for, like, the end of kind of world levels and, like, how it incorporates music is so well done. The, like, tongue-in-cheek nature of it, the fun it has with everything constantly, how, like, challenging it is, but, like, not in a bullshit challenge way. Just the fact that, like, you just have to be, like, it teaches you and you learn the skills over time in a way that feels fair, in a way that feels like it's at a good clip and a good pace. This isn't a Celeste or a Meat Boy or like a Raging Peace, which is like, it's really fucking hard. This game wants to like brighten up your day and kind of bring you some like joy and happiness and laughter.
Yeah, it's like a
literally-
jaunt, you know.
Yeah, like literally when I played, and I think I put this in the Slack chat too, like when I got to the end of the first one and did that first level, that first kind of boss level thing, and saw that it was a musical thing, I legitimately just started laughing out loud and be like, this is the best thing. Like, it's so good. Like, they each get so, like, much better. And then what it is when you unlock kind of the last one, they're all just musical levels. It's, like, it's an incredible thing. And then it, going back to kind of what I said about Arkham, like, I, like, fell head over heels for Rayman Legends. Where, like, I was doing, like, the time challenge things. Like, I was going, like, online to compete against other players and, like, modes and maps and things still. That game is so
Where
good.
were you
So
in 2011
special.
and 2013, man?
I know, man, and like going back
Man,
and going back and replaying, because it literally has the old game in this game.
Yeah,
Like, it
Origins
has,
is all in there.
yeah, it's got the entire game in this game. You can unlock it, and it's like incredible. Like and like Origins, I don't think is good, but like it's still very fun and still enjoyable.
I
And,
like Origins better, but that's just
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
about
right,
to
and
say,
I
I've
think
only
it's- I
played
think it's-
Origins.
I think it's going from Legends to Origins, kind of. Well,
yeah.
but
I think
so
yeah.
good. Like it's an incredible platformer, and like in a year of a lot of great platformers, this one stood out to me as like maybe the one that I just enjoyed. Certainly the one that I had the most fun playing. It is a fantastic video game, right? And like obviously it won't be on my game of the year list this year because it's many years old. But if it was not, I think, if it was a new video game this year, I mean, it would absolutely be up there. It's a fantastic video game.
Yeah,
so
I
Rayman
think-
Legends is the only thing I have to contribute for this list, and it's fucking great game.
That's a good.
Alex, you're gonna say something?
I played it I think the year before when it was free with games with gold.
Sure, yeah.
I also really like it. I guess I don't feel quite as strongly about it. I ended up finishing it and I just had a great time with it. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's a
the
blast.
big thing about Rayman Legends is it's hard to find anything to complain about with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think like there is like a little bit of a bummer aspect to they do all of the musical levels again like a second time.
We unlock that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like that's kind of like the hardest tier content that they put into it. But it's a jolly ass game. It's a game that makes you smile.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a jolliest game that just makes you smile. Again, like it just wants to make your day better so earnestly that you can't help but like fall in love with it.
And it's exclusive to the Wii U. You know, love the Wii U exclusive. Rayman Legends.
Wii U exclusive. Yeah, no, I feel about no other platform or device.
A lot of Wii U games getting represented. Let's put Splatoon 1 on the list, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Put it on there.
Feel good. That's a very impassioned argument. We can leave it on there for now.
Maybe we can keep it on. All right, Life is Strange is a video game.
Quinn, you're the
This
one
is
that
the one
played
I
that
feel like
this
could be
year.
the most. Yeah.
Now let me tell you about this video game.
Yeah,
Life
dude.
It's good, and let me tell you about these conversations I had with Alex O'Neill about this fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
And you've talked about it with me and Westwing.
Oh my god,
It's good. It's a good game.
Good.
How'd you feel at the end of it? Did you feel broken and destroyed, or did you feel good?
I felt good.
Okay.
What did you do at the end? I mean, like, spoiler alert for Life is Strange, right now, spoiler. What did you do at the end of Life is Strange?
Fucking save the relationship, baby. Like fuck.
Okay.
That's
That's what I did too.
I remember this now because I remember having a conversation about this.
Yeah. It's
and
I
all
love
my
I love
giving me
how
shit about it. Yes,
I
that was
love
fun.
how split people are on that too. Like
It literally is a 50-50. Like, that's like the still number is this. It's still 50-50 split.
yeah,
on, like,
it's
what
such a
people pick.
50-50 split. It's one of those like there's no wrong answer, there's no right answer to this, and yeah, I don't know. That game is something special. Obviously, it was my game of the year in 2015. I feel very, very strongly about it. I don't know where you're at with it, Quinn, but we got to start cutting some of these games here.
Yeah.
Yeah, guess what? It can get cut.
Okay.
Okay.
I want you to say your piece.
Extra life. Just fucking cut Black Panther off first.
Let's cut Black Panther first. Jared Green did that. All right. He wanted to hurt you to show that he could love
I know, and I'm Jarrett. I know you're.
Jared,
Jared's definitely not watching.
don't.
Do not
There's
watch.
no
Jared,
way.
Jared will not listen to these. You know. Speaking of Jared Green, I think it's time that we get a Jared.
Yeah, I
take.
think we're here. We're organized. I think we need some sort of like a disruptor.
Yeah, we need
Some sort of
chaos.
Chaos.
I requested from Jarrett that he give us a Jarrett take to include in every category. And this is Jarrett's take that he provided for the best old game of the year. I literally have no fucking idea what this category is supposed to mean. Is there a limit to how old games can be? Because let me tell you about a game called Smash TV.
And
Put it
with
on the
that,
list.
I gotta say, good
Put
point.
Smash TV on the
Put
list.
Smash
TV
TV on
should
the
be on
list. All right,
What
it
is
wins. Bold it. No, I'm just kidding.
I am writing in Smash TV.
I think
And
we
I'm
should
not
cut
deleting
Smash
it.
TV.
All right, it's gone.
Great.
All right.
Great video game.
Shout it out. That's great.
All
a
right.
game?
We should I think,
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Hold on a second. I'm gonna tell you what. I don't think he's gonna make it now.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We should
Captain Toad will always be in my heart, but it's fine. It can go.
we do have another category to get through, so I think we should to up the
Yeah.
pace just a little bit.
Has anybody talked about Prey at all yet?
George talked
No,
about
I can
it.
talk about Prey though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're gonna be the guy that for your
Okay,
Prey.
so
We're
Prey
talking about
was
fucking Luminous.
We
No,
have
we're
talked
doing
about
fucking
it.
Luminous.
Mike, talk about Luminous. Talk about Luminous. Because this will be a
Luminous.
game. The ghost of Luminous will be around this entire
I
conversation.
know it will be. That's the Luminez is like me, the old man with my stick in a corner, being for all these fucking people who are talking about Tetris Effect like it's. I'm sorry, Alex. I have to.
Hey, you're gonna dunk on me right now, and I
I'm
get
sorry.
it.
I'm dunking
I
on a
love
lot
it
of.
too.
I'm dunking on a lot of people because like everyone's sitting here being like Tetris Effect blew my fucking mind. It's just trans. I don't even know. Like,
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
it's just like next level experience, and it's just like, man, they made that fucking game in 2004. The fucking Luminez. Luminez is literally Tetris Effect. And like like it's awesome. They're both awesome, but it's literally the same thing. Like all the stuff what you're saying, like it has this like next level story where it's using the music and the effects in the background and what you're all playing to like tell the story of like life and like environments.
Mhm.
Like you're seeing like cities and all this other stuff. Like Luminous has like done this for years. And it's just like it got overlooked because it was only on the PSP for so many years. And like it's
To be fair, Mike, Mizuguchi straight up said, I wanted to make Tetris Effect first, but I didn't have the rights to Tetris.
And that's
So I made
totally fair.
Luminous.
'Cause, like I think that was that time where Tetris was like in that weird limbo
In the
of
EA
hell.
dome.
Yeah, the EA
exactly.
dome.
So like I like 100% like Tetris Effect was probably the thing he kind of wanted to make, but he had to make Lumines because he didn't have that. So just Lumines is incredible, and I just had to say that piece. Like I'm happy everyone is finally having the Tetris Effect. Like they're having the Lumines effect that I had back in like 2004, 2005. They're having it now in 2020.
Man, it's so great to play Tetris. Such an innovative idea. I've just never seen it before. It's just so cool.
But here, I mean, like, I see what you're saying, Mike. I think a big thing is like I've never played any of his games before.
Yes,
I
and that
think
too.
Some people have had that experience with all of like the Mizuguchi games.
Yes,
save for maybe Medios, but shout out to
Every
Medios.
extend extra. Let's talk about it.
But like, I think a lot of people would say the same thing about Res as well and Res
Yeah.
Infinite. But
totally.
yeah, I just that was
Child
the
of
one that I
Eden.
got to.
Yeah, no, and I totally get that, and I'm happy that you're like having your Mizuguchi experience finally, But we can cut Lumines, but that was my
I really
moment.
wanted this though. I wanted Mike to have his fucking moment.
There will be more when Tetris Effect comes up. I'm sorry, but like it's like we can move on.
We'll keep going. All right. So I'll say my pray piece quickly for people who aren't familiar with the Irrational Passions Slack channel or my Twitter account. So Prey is a game that when it came out last year, I tried it and I thought that intro was cool, but I had no interest in playing it. I then bought it on Black Friday, played the first 10 minutes again. And I was like, nope, this isn't it. And for some reason, I was haunted by it the entire beginning of the year.
So much about Prey.
And I don't know why. I just think because I have no idea why. Maybe it is a Danielle Rando fucking seeping into my brain.
You were fucked up about this, though. I can confirm.
Yeah. But I played it, and I think the character work and the writing is fucking fantastic. I think it's some of the best, like, side character work I've seen in a game in such a goddamn long time. At least in terms of, like, first-person, like, RPG. Like sort of like your Fallouts. I'm trying to think of what other games fit in that category, but I guess I'm mainly thinking of Fallout and BioShock. And I do think that in terms of writing, it is the best BioShock game, the best Shock game. But at the same time, while I am infatuated by the characters, I fucking love that Mick Gordon, John Carpenter fucking inspired soundtrack. He's the guy who made Doom. So what if you get the guy who made Doom to make a fucking alien, like, retro futurist soundtrack? I think it sounds fantastic. I think the art design is phenomenal, but the gameplay and the way they design the entire game really is just not great. Because of that, I think it's a great game, but I understand why it's overlooked and why people won't give it a shot. But that being said, it's definitely one of my favorite games I played this year. But at the same time, I feel very strongly about Prey. But also, I understand that other people feel passionate about some other games here.
I'll say.
So
can I say this real quick? I don't think Spyro Reignited is really just gonna hang.
I don't even think it. Now I'm having second thoughts if it shouldn't be there. But yeah, sure.
I don't think it's gonna hang. With these.
I think we gave it a good shot earlier.
I think so.
It's a good remake. If you want to, if you're interested in Spyro, you should check it out.
Yeah, those
games
it
holds up. Yeah.
Quinn, did you mention why Lion's song should be?
Yeah,
we haven't gotten to it yet.
I need to pitch on Lion's song. Yeah.
The same.
I want to talk about Prey real quick.
Yeah.
I stand
All right.
Arcane.
No, you cannot do some Arcane diatribe.
Let me tell you about Arcane Truther Quentin Hoffman.
Just give me Prey.
Prey's good. I love
I
most of that game except for the last third.
It's bad.
It's bad. It falls off the edge. But the thing is, up until that point, I agree with George. It is the best Shock game. It has this world which is just so fucking fantastic. Like when I first played it, I was like, I want to figure out everything. What the fuck happened everywhere. Like I was just taken away, and I still stand by that. Excuse me. Arcane makes the best levels, and that's where I would disagree with you, George. That game is designed so specifically and so thoughtful to make you run through these areas, then come back at a later stage and only to find more and to understand them more and all these little nuances. Man, Prey's so fucking good.
Prey's great.
Can I ask, because I'm just deathly curious, like what happens in the back third of that game that is...
So in terms of design, so you know Metroid, how you have to like escape the fucking thing before it blows the fuck up?
Yeah.
So it does that, but like all the enemies get turned to like 100 and you die very easily, and there's loading screens, like 45-second loading screens between each section, and you have to run across multiple sections to get one thing while being
like,
shot down.
How long does that
guys
take?
when you started talking.
Yeah, because
It's a nightmare.
This is like one of the fastest moments of like being like, oh, I kind of want to play this game. Then you tell me that,
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
like,
bad.
never mind.
And
Hard
the
out, hard out.
developers said it. The developer said it, like it was bad. It was bad.
Now let me ask
And then the
all
ending
you
you get that pulls everything, like pulls the rug from underneath you and explains the whole thing.
Oh, it's so fucking good.
It's a lot, but it can be after you went through that whole thing, and you get this sort of twist, this sort of like I don't even know, like zoom out and it's a snow globe sort of thing, like a very BioShock thing. It feels a little too bitter. Yeah, they just fumbled the entire thing. It's just not great.
all you guys talking about how it's the best shock game. Let me just tell you this. How many
BioShock
motherfuckers
2.
have actually played BioShock 2?
Let me tell you about BioShock 2.
Let me talk about BioShock 2, all right?
All right, best old game of the year, BioShock 2. No.
BioShock 2, yeah.
Shout out to that multiplayer.
Shout out to
Okay,
that
so-
multiplayer.
It's actually not bad.
It's fine.
It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Give me your pitch for the Lion song. We gotta go.
Yeah, line song.
Okay. Y'all like point and click adventure games, right?
No.
Well, as it turns out,
Good
You're in the
enough.
wrong crowd.
All right, then I'm out.
I like point and click adventure games, Quentin. I do want to know what's going on with Lions.
I like Broken Age.
This is more like, okay, so it's the Lion Song is more or less 4 episodes. It's actually 4 episodes. Start like each episode is a different character, and they're all in some way or another connected. The first is a composer, the second is an artist, the third is a mathematician, and the fourth is a guy, like a commander. And they all take place in this entire thing takes place in 1920s Austria. And episode 1, it's more or less like someone's talking to someone on a phone and they build a relationship. Then it's episode 2 is the artist finding more about himself and realizing who he is and realizing what he wants his art to be. The mathematician is them coming and realizing who they are and wanting to be themselves. It's all about coming out and realizing who you are. And that's the beauty of the Lion Songs. It all does it in different ways. Then episode 4, which is completely different. It's because it is so different. This commander, more or less, is on a train, and he's in this cabin with 3 different people, and he's talking to them and getting their lives, like getting to know them, and each of them are related to the episodes you played. So it's kind of like this reflection, and like it's these characters who were in the background that you didn't interact with in these 3 episodes. And it's really, really beautiful, and it's really, really poignant of like everyone's life comes together and it all intersects more or less. And it has this meaning and it has this purpose. And it's really like, say what you will about point and click adventure games. I don't give a fuck. Like those, they have really grown on me recently.
But it sounds like a very Quinn thing for some reason that just fits in with my character. But yeah.
At the end of the game, even though I played it on Switch, at the end of the game, like I was just like in tears. Like it was just so beautiful, and it's this tale, and it's like there's something about how the stories are connected, and it's how they're told, and it's just something so beautiful. And it's, I mean, we can cut it if you guys want, but I really think it is one of the best stories, and how, like, in games, period. It
looks cool.
It does
Yeah,
look
we don't
cool.
care about stories.
That's a bit much.
I stand by that.
It seems like very reminiscent of kind of the experience I had with Tetris Effect. So I get it. Like,
And for the listeners at home, I don't think like I'm familiar with this game because of Out This Week, which is the social feature we do at Irrational Pod. It's a game that looks sort of, I would say, maybe late Mac, and it's got a sepia tone color palette. So it has a distinct look. If you have having trouble sort of visualizing it, It sort of looks like that. It looks like the Last Express if it didn't have as much detail and it was sepia tone. If you know what the Last Express is and you enjoy point and click adventure games like Quinn.
But no, yeah, go ahead. Go.
Can I just say, George, I want you to be the record keeper of this. That like me and Alex are never allowed to be called the biggest marks for like Teardrop and James ever again. Because every game Quinn has talked about so far has made him cry so far. So
I mean, like,
Alex, we're no longer the marks. We're no longer the marks.
I'll own it though. Like, I'm a big baby, you know.
I mean,
Logan and I we've talked about this.
I own that me and you are get emotional for things, but we're definitely not the most emotional people at IP anymore now.
I mean, I think we got to start like a coalition. Like the three of us got to fight back against the rest of everyone.
Hell yeah!
Games that made us cry this year.
Yeah. The crybaby boys.
We'll have the crybaby category next year.
I'll say this, like,
games that made you cry the most.
Sorry,
I cry every time.
Sorry, George, but like,
go ahead.
I just don't know if Batman: Arkham Asylum is gonna hang now. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten into some like emotional territory, and obviously I haven't talked about Hollow Knight at all yet.
That's what I was about to say.
But
Okay.
I don't know how well that game is gonna stand for us. So
Shout
like,
out to horny game developers at Rocksteady Studios in 2010 or 2009.
Poison
Mike,
Ivy.
did you talk
is
about
horny.
Splatoon 2 either?
I touched on it a little bit. I can
Okay.
talk about it more now if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So I definitely think Splatoon is at least one of these top three because it continues to add new content since its released last year. It's still like I think it kind of got overlooked last year because obviously we got Breath of the Wild, we got Mario,
Yeah.
and like Splatoon was kind of like that low middling one, but I still feel like it's impressive for that as still like that's still like a new franchise from a new IP from Nintendo within like not even like the last 10 years, and it's already like kind of held up in regards with those. And I think it's just returning to it this year because like they keep adding new stuff. It's like always an easy thing to return to be like, oh look, they've added a bunch of new maps, they've added a bunch of new weapons. With like within like a week or two time span, I can just jump back in and have like a completely new experience and like be reminded why this game is just fun. It's just like such an easy, immediate, and pick up and play and enjoyable game. And they just make it that way. And I think Splatoon 2, specifically this year, was Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, which is the only content they have added that game since post launch. That was like you have to like pay for this expansion. And I think it's more than worth the money because I think it is some of the best Splatoon content, like period, in terms of like it's sectioned off into like one-off levels that you're playing through single player. They're like really smartly designed. Each level is set up in a way that where it gives you like a lineup of weapons. So it's like one, it'll give you like the sniper rifle equivalent, just like your standard little machine gun and like a bucket. And like basically like depending on it, and it gives you the choice of like one of those weapons, and like depending on what weapon you choose can make that level play completely differently, or play like or make it more challenging for yourself. Like you can basically choose your own difficulty or choose how you want to like take on these kind of events in these mode. So I just think it's like a really cool way to like introduce you to like all of these things that they keep adding in because they add like entirely new weapons into the multiplayer. So sometimes like that was kind of like a weird thing with the first one, was having like these new weapons come in and then you kind of try and jump in and you're playing with people who keep on playing it like and playing obsessively, and you just want to try out this new weapon and then you're just getting like creamed. So I thought like having the Acto expansion be this thing where like, hey, here's just kind of the thing that like if you want to just try out all these new weapons that we're adding, you want to see all the new content we've been having, here's kind of it in like a condensed collection. And it's just like an immediate reminder of like, wow, this is such a well-designed game. It's like smart in how it introduces you stuff and like lets you figure it out on your own. Like it's not just like we're going to give you the stuff and then you can just kind of play it how you want to play it and learn how you want to learn it. And it's just from that gameplay perspective, but also from like a lore perspective of just like it gave Splatoon lore. Like that's the case in point of like there are these weird dumb little squid kids, but now there's like this whole other subsection of like this like a repressed like underground like sea creatures and like deep sea creatures that are like living underground for all these years, and like they're talking about this war that was 1,000 years ago that like they're still feeling the ramifications of. And you're just like, why is this in this like jolly kid Squid Game? And like it's like shown in like a fun cartoony way that's still like for kids in Splatoon world, but it's like they didn't have to go that length for this, and they did, and I just think that's really cool. And I just think they continue to update that game, and they probably will continue to update that game into 2019. I think they've said.
Yeah,
So-
I think they did say like when it's getting cut off at some point.
Yeah, I think it's like spring next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think specifically for me, like returning to like kind of Splatoon being overshadowed a little bit last year from some of the other big Nintendo games and just all the games in general, and then coming back and like right before the Doctor Expansion came out, just being like, oh yeah, they've been completely updating this new stuff all this time. Let me jump back in and like, of course, there's all this new stuff to find and this new whole content and everything. So I just think it's awesome.
I haven't played Splatoon 2, but I have been feeling very good about Splatoon 2 in general, just conceptually.
Yes.
Apart from the fact that the Nintendo Online service sort of nuked a lot of people. That was fun to see a lot of poor people just disappear from the Splatoon. So shout out to the poor people who can't afford to play Splatoon anymore. Rip.
All those 13-year-old kids that love Splatoon.
Yeah, they can't play it on their Switch for free anymore. Yeah.
So we're in the shit now, huh, folks? And Alex hasn't even talked about the Hollow Knight. We know how much Alex feels about Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I mean, y'all never got to hear the end of it. To speak on Hollow Knight, so obviously it is a game that didn't technically come out this year, even though like I think a lot of people didn't get to it until this year. For folks who don't know, Hollow Knight came out on Switch and then later Xbox One and PS4 this year. It also saw its third or fourth free expansion this year. But what was cool about the Switch version was it came with kind of like the first 3 free expansions, 2 or 3 free expansions that they kind of put out over the last year for the PC version. All free, just kind of free updates that added new quests, new characters, new abilities, things like that. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania for lack of a better descriptor. It is also by far the biggest Metroidvania I think that's ever been made. It took me about 47 hours to play all of it, to do everything in it, which is a lot. But I don't know, like the Hollow Knight is a very atmospheric, very aesthetically pleasing game, in that it looks, no other video game looks like Hollow Knight. All the characters are bugs. And all the enemies are different kinds of bugs, which is an aesthetic I thought I wouldn't really be into, but they run the gamut of like adorable bugs to kind of creepy, unsettling things, and they take you through this world that is like layered in a way that makes sense of like why these creatures would be in this section of this world. For me, I played Hollow Knight predominantly when I was on vacation over the summer this year. I literally couldn't stop playing it for large portions of the year. I couldn't put it down just because it was so enthralling. It honestly took the concept of like a Civ game, like of just one more turn type thing, and it was just like just a little bit more like, let me just go to like the next area, go to the next checkpoint. I think there's a place to be reductive about Hollow Knight in that like it is another Metroidvania in a year where there were a lot of them. I think it is by far the best of them.
Not a lot of them on this list throughout this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them came out this year.
Yeah, a lot of them came out this year, so they wouldn't necessarily be in this conversation. But
sure,
I think regardless, Hollow Knight is easily the best of any of them, without breaking a sweat. I think the mechanics that it introduces, from like the powers and abilities you have, the way that you progress as a character, like the way you get stronger, the central mechanic of you have like this meter that you can either use for attacks or use to heal yourself, and you build it by attacking enemies, is like the through line mechanic of that whole game. So your health is always determined by, one, how well you're doing and how much time you have to heal yourself, which I think is awesome, and it's It's very unlike any other game I've played, just in general. It honestly, like, the closest thing is the meter in Spider-Man, weirdly enough. And I think, like, on top of that, it is just doing things like in Metroidvanias, as far as like the way worlds lead into one another and the way you unlock abilities and the way you can kind of do things out of order, that most of like the big ones have never done. And I just think that's so cool. It is a game that just keeps on giving. I was 37 hours into it before I saw like the last area in it, and it was just like I stumbled into this totally new area that I'd never seen before, and the fact that I was feeling that just dozens of hours into this game, that I was just ravenously consuming it at as fast a rate as I could, and just finding new things, finding new characters, finding new side quests, finding new visual styles in a genre I already really like, and finding new secrets in it was like amazing for me. Like it really, really scratched an itch for me that I was just taken aback by, like, constantly. It's like probably one of my favorite games of all time. It is very, very, very good. If I were to give Hollow Knight a score, it'd be very high. I feel very, very strongly about Hollow Knight. And y'all have heard about it all year. Like, I understand it definitely didn't speak to, I don't think anyone. I think the most, Quinn, you liked it a lot.
I did, but I also didn't beat it because fucking hard video games are hard.
Yeah, it is not an easy game.
No, that should be noted as well.
Like, I don't know. I don't think that's relevant to the conversation. I think like the game is just as challenging as it needs to be. And what's cool is like a secret I found out, like one of the boss fights that is like infamously very hard. There is a thing that you can do if you explore around that area that like makes that boss fight significantly easier. Which I was like, I didn't find it until after I had finished it. And I was like, oh, this is like really cool. And I had like a lot of trouble with this fight specifically. And they kind of built something into the world of like, if you pay attention, if you look around, you'll find something that actually helps make that fight easier. Like I know, I think the big thing is like, this game really spoke to me where it actively didn't to a lot of other people, to a lot of you guys. So I get that. I do really, really love this game. And the shitty thing is, because it's a game that just, for me, wasn't accessible. Like, I couldn't play it before this year. Yeah. There was no way I was going to play it before this year. I couldn't get to it until this year. I couldn't give it the recognition it needed or deserved, I think, in the year it came out. And that really sucks. And this is kind of like the only category where it can get that recognition. But I also know there's a lot of other strong contenders on here.
Yeah. So here's how I see this going through. I'm willing to get rid of Prey.
Okay.
We get rid of Prey, and because as much as I like Prey and I like it goddamn much, I'm also extremely glad Logan finally got to play Rayman Legends. And if I can sacrifice Prey to let Rayman Legends go through, I'll do it. So and also, like, it should be noted that Prey Moon Crash came out this year, but at this moment I haven't played it. And so maybe if I played more of it, I will later after these conversations are done. So I might talk about it in my list, but I'm ready. And also, we have to choose 3.
We do. I mean, like, it's also like, I know it sucks, but like, how many horses in this race are we going to try and hold on to? Like, personally, each individually, one of us. Like, I know Mike is fighting hard for Splatoon. You're fighting.
I think Hollow Knight is. There's no way Hollow Knight's is moving, and I am fine with that.
Hollow Knight's staying where it is.
Yeah, I feel really strong about it.
So I'm cutting Prey. Prey's leaving.
All right,
rest in peace. Shout out to Arcane.
Rip the Prey.
Stan Arcane.
Somebody stan it.
And I also feel good about Splatoon 2. I feel good.
Yeah,
about
this
Splatoon
is what I was
2.
going to say too. Is I think if that's the case, then suddenly I would say my top 3 would be Hollow Knight, Splatoon 2, and Rayman.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, I would have.
Sorry,
if you'd not cut Prey, I would have probably swapped Rayman and Prey. But I'm fine with those 3 as well.
You know what? I'll take 2 fucking L's in a row.
All right. Here's the thing: like you take the 2 L's now, and they might come back later as W's.
Or you just
So
don't
I
pick
think
points
Hollow Knight
like
wins.
adventure
I'm
games.
sad. It's fine.
I'm sorry,
I think
Quinn.
Hollow Knight wins.
Yeah.
I think
for sure.
even beyond like how passionate Alex feels, I think at the moment once people rediscovered Hollow Knight, I was sick and tired of hearing about Hollow Knight, but now there's enough distance that I'm like, okay, now I'm interested again.
Yeah.
Then I saw a Hollow Knight plush at a Best Buy, and that made me smile, and I like that conceptually.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the passion is just.
Yeah.
I think the passion's there.
Totally. I'm totally in the camp that like I probably would have in the year of like I would say this like is kind of the year of Metroidvanias. The only reason I didn't play Hollow Knight was because I had played so many other Metroidvanias already, so I didn't want to just like be like I'm gonna play this 4th or 5th Metroidvania now. So but I do have a lot of interest in Hollow Knight just because of how much people talk about it.
Yeah,
But
because
like,
Island
even-
Express is even a fucking Metroidvania.
Yeah, and it's just you definitely can't not look at Hollow Knight and see just how much people found that game this year. Like basically Alex's story of like I saw that almost everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
when that game
It exploded.
Yeah.
Which I'm so happy about.
I mean, I would just say it as simple as Alex literally single-handedly personally made this category just for Hollow Knight. So I think based off of that alone,
To be fair, I didn't pitch this category.
That was a George. I wanted
definitely a category that's just like this is a category made for Hollow Knight.
I do think so, and it, like honestly, I really thought Hollow Knight was going to get cut, so this is very weird for me to be in this position. Like this is not how I saw things going.
This is not IPP, man, right? Like it sometimes your game winning. Right?
This is not.
Has
This
a
is not.
happy ending sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not, they probably
Firewatch is a
fucking
fucking game for babies.
I'm
I
not-
said it before and I said it again.
I'm not used to. I'm like very much used to getting dunked on. So
that's probably why the only reason they get the other guys still do it is 'cause they know
Scott,
they
do
can
you
just fuck with.
yeah, they
Good
just
about
fuck
where
with
we
me.
landed.
Well, considering the only game out of these 3 I've played was Hollow Knight, so
Hollow Knight.
I enjoyed Hollow Knight. I've only probably spent maybe 3 hours in it, so I haven't spent too much time, but it was a solid game. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Hollow Knight
So-
is very good. So the best old game of the year, Hollow Knight, with 2 runners up being Splatoon 2 and Rayman Legends, which is a dope list. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have not played any
Shout
of
out
these
to Rayman.
games, there's no better time.
I think if you haven't played any of the games that were on this list, definitely give them a shot.
Yeah, and watch
Take
Video
a
Game
look.
Book Club.
I will say,
yeah.
Hollow Knight came from a game jam, so there's that too.
Oh yeah, too. It is like a total like
a-
up and coming story.
Yep, it's a sequel to Hungry Night, Team Cherry's game jam.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And like Team Cherry's like first like full published game. It's very cool. I'm very excited for that. That's too. Next category for today. The only other category for today. Best designed level. Now I think this is derived from best moment or sequence. I think my big thought when I worded it like this was, oh my God, my cat.
Echo through. Echo through.
My thought,
He's just as confused by this category as I am.
yeah, I
I
think-
I'm a little.
my thought was like there are a lot of games that had really really cool level design, and I wanted to kind of lean more into that, but I think this also encompasses to some extent moments through a game, I think, and missions through a game. Things like Red Dead, right? Like their moments, their level equivalent would be a mission or a certain vertical slice of a mission, things like that. I don't think it is strictly limited to a start to finish, loading screen to loading screen level. So like keep that in mind when we go through this. I think it is like a level that accomplished something design wise, both like in how it delivered its story, how it delivered its environment, how it delivered its mechanics, whether they have been different or not, very effectively and very well, the best of anything else. So while there are a lot of sequences in here that I don't think we're going to feel as strongly about, I think they kind of fit in this because we don't have a best moment or sequence in our Game of the Year categories. As my poor cat is
Your cat does not approve of that decision.
he's so sad. So I'm going to go through the things we have written right now. Hitman 2, Miami and Isle of Seagal. Monster Hunter World, The Ancient Forest. The Messenger, Bamboo Grove. The Messenger, Water Temple. Celeste, The Climb to the Summit. Tetris Effect. Somebody wrote any of the water levels. I think we'll probably have to specify that a little bit more.
Nail that down a bit more.
Tetris Effect Orbits. Tetris Effect City Streets. Marvel's Spider-Man Prison Break section. Octopath Traveler Still Snow. God of War Returning Back Home for a Weapon. God of War Land of the Giants. God of War Greatest Fights compilation. I don't know what that means. Rage and Peace is just written here. With no specific level tied to it. So we'll have to update that. Return of the Oberdin. Don't know what that means. Florence, The First Date. Florence, The Finale. Red Dead 2, Let's Go Fishing. Far Cry 5, Faith Boss Fight. Old Man's Journey, Final Act. Detroit, Kara and Alice Go to the Amusement Park. Detroit, Connor Chasing. Is there anything missing before we get into this?
I'd like, now that it's kind of turned into a
We're gonna add things.
like a segment thing, like there's definitely some of the Octopath like character chapters that really hit me and like were really good, but I can't think of the specific ones. Like
I think those might be a little too big for this category.
Yeah.
okay.
Because I want to tighten it down as much as we can. Is there
So anything else that we can't think of right now before we get into it?
I feel like I'm definitely missing something from here, but
Okay.
I can't think of it right now.
I'm going to jump in. I want to talk to. Did anyone here play Florence?
Me and George did.
I think
I
it's just
reviewed
you
it.
two. Unfortunately, I really wanted to play it.
Everybody can still play. This game is less than an hour. All of you can still play it by the time we get to the
So
actual
Logan,
game.
I want to get into it now because so my argument for First Date is because so for folks don't know at home, Florence is a mobile game that uses really small vignettes and really small cool mechanics and puzzle types to tell the story of this young woman who's experiencing her first actual love and like it's its first serious relationship, and it goes through it like from life before, life currently in the relationship, and then life after. I'm putting up First Date because it is a moment. So you're on this date with this guy, and so how the game shows that is it makes the conversation bubbles into puzzle pieces. So it starts off with the puzzle being a shit ton of pieces, and you got to put them together while he's also putting together his puzzle pieces. But as you go through this date, as you meet together, as you have dinner, as you have conversations, as you go out around town, the puzzle pieces become bigger. It becomes a lot easier to put the puzzle pieces together. And then once you're close to the end, it just becomes two pieces until it's just one whole thing. And then it all culminates in your first kiss.
Yeah.
I think this is when they first introduced that mechanic, and it is throughout the rest of the game. Logan put here the end, pretty much the end of the relationship, right, Logan?
Yeah.
Okay.
More specifically, the segment after the end of the relationship, or like the kind of the post relationship phase.
Are we talking about the part with the drifting, or are we talking about
after
the
that,
part
where she's kind of recovered now a bit and has kind of?
Okay, that's a completely different thing I was thinking about.
Yes.
So my argument
also good too, though.
Sure. So my argument for my part is that I think that moment is such a clever way. Like the metaphor works for the entire video game. It is like the turning what that is into a clever and maybe a little cheeky mechanic, but it works out the entire game for like when they have a fight.
This is what I was going to talk about. Yeah,
become pointier and
jagged.
harder to put together.
Yep.
Until at a certain point, like I can't fix this. I can't fix it hard enough. Like the way he's solving these puzzles is way too quick, and I can't keep up. And I guess it's over. We're done. So that's my argument for that. Logan, what's your argument for your section of Florence?
I mean, I think there's no bad answer either way. I think Florence is an incredible game. I think that what I like. So again, I can't stress this enough. I strongly recommend that anybody who's listening to this or is on this podcast play Florence.
45 minutes.
Yes, I strongly recommend that. But so, like, to get into spoilers now, at least somewhat. Like I love the game. What I love about Florence is the fact that like it is about a really, really, really intense and powerful and important love story, but one that doesn't last forever, right? Like it's the part of the point of the game is that like not all love need be everlasting, right? Like not all love needs like last forever. Like you can leave a really indelible mark on you and still fade away and still kind of end. It doesn't have to be kind of happily ever after in that sense, right? Like Florence and her life is markedly better through this relationship, even if they don't end up with together still, right? And the kind of the finale and how you kind of see that, right? Because there is a point,
spoilers,
spoiler, where they break up and she's just kind of drifting, right? Where she's lost utterly, and then she kind of begins to kind of recover from that and kind of piece back together and see how much progress and how much growth and how much he pushed her and how much she pushed him to each kind of find success in their own way, right? And like the analogy that I used in my review was that I think, so now spoiler alert for a different thing, it's very similar to La La Land, right? Where like La La Land, in a similar manner, George can roll his eyes all he wants, but like La La Land in some of the way, it's like the point is that like, spoiler alert for La La Land, like they don't end up together, me and Sebastian, but they also each kind of push and pull and make sure to grow in a way to where they each kind of achieve things. And they've each been kind of pushed further on their stories together, right? And so it's like, it's bittersweet. Like obviously it sucks they don't end up together either in this or La La Land, but like seeing where Florence is at the end of the game to where she's at the beginning of the game, right? Because at the beginning of the game and throughout the game, it'll have her kind of do mundane tasks over and over and over again. Like whether it's typing things on a computer, making breakfast, brushing her teeth, she'll do them. And throughout the game, she does them in different ways, depending on kind of her mood and her place, right? Like at the beginning of the game, you just do them over and over and over again. It's just repetitive, tedious thing that no kind of excitement to it. And then when she starts getting into the relationship the first time, she does it super quick and like a lot of joy and like kind of pop to it happens. And then as things get bad, it's very kind of angrily or very kind of upset. She does it quickly and does it wrong. And then at the end of the game, she'll do it like one last time in that kind of drifting phase. And then the tasks in the game are different because she's moved on from that job, right? She's done with that kind of tedious stopgap thing that she was doing, has kind of gotten to like her dream job, has gotten to her thing.
So are you talking about that entire section?
Because that section isn't long. It's more of just, it's, and so for me, it's that because none of the
payoff of that section.
Yeah, it's that. It's getting to that point. It's getting to that growth. It's seeing the fact that like she's made it through the, I think, relationship kind of breakup phase and what has kind of gone about there, right? Because like most,
I think, pursue her career as an artist.
Yeah, right.
Because like, she wanted to be an artist, and then the boyfriend gave her a paint set that she got that it got buried under all of her like work stuff. And once they broke up and they moved on, she was like, "Oh, hey, this is here," and like I miss him, and but she just goes back to painting, and it works out.
And I think Florence is special because like I feel like most love stories and most kind of relationship stories you see in any sort of medium usually have two endings, right? It's either happily ever after, if it's not that, it's they break up and it's very sad and we're all kind of boo-hoo here. And like Florence doesn't really do either one of those. It doesn't really end with like a we've broken up, we're all sad, boo-hoo kind of thing. It's a tragedy, and it's not a we're happily ever after. It is something I think much more kind of clever and real and true, which is like maybe we dated and it was really important, really like passion filled and important, but then we also didn't up together, and I'm not destroyed forever from that, right? I'm not Romeo and Juliet here. I've learned and have been changed and have grown from that, and I think that ending is kind of the fulfillment of the entire game's message and story, and it's so well done.
My argument, I think it's
I think both are
sure.
I'd also argue, to your point, George, like I also really love the segment where they first meet, and it's the musical notes where you kind of have to kind of connect those to get to him. Yeah.
But in terms of like, and I think of level and the spirit of this category, and think of like mechanics and how they intertwine with story and character work and all of it, I think the first day introduces a mechanic that's going to be pivotal to the rest of the game, and it works so effective to that moment. And so if I was to have one Florence moment, it would be that, especially because the end, I think, is actually, the end is just reusing a lot of the mechanics that you already did.
Yes, it is using them and tweaking in
new
different
way
ways kind of thing. Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I think first date should be on here.
I think that neither one is bad. I have no objection either way.
Okay.
I think everybody should just play Florence.
I'm gonna say this. because here's the thing, like best design level in the spirit of best sequence is like by its nature the most spoilery category in a lot of ways.
I mean, we just spoiled the end of Florence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You should all play Florence still, though.
I'm going to propose this, and if it gets shot down, it's fine. How would we feel about each of us pulling out, not necessarily talking about them quite yet, but pulling out the ones that we feel the most strongly about and we want to have a conversation about?
Okay.
And cutting everything else. Because
Sure.
like I don't
That makes
necessarily want to spoil something that maybe somebody who's listening hasn't gotten to yet, just for it to get cut in 10 minutes because ultimately it wasn't going to be on the list. I think if we focus in on the things that we really want to have conversations about, that is what I would prefer. Does that sound fair? So I would challenge everyone to do maybe like one or two on this list,
One or two cuts.
and just bump them up, and then we can cut everything else.
That's highlighted. Okay, that's fine.
I was gonna say, I don't know how to add those. dots
Just
that you added.
tab forward is what I've been doing.
That's,
you just put it at
it's
the
not,
beginning
but
and then tab.
in the spirit of cutting this,
I assume that's
I'm
fine.
gonna-
it's not working for me.
I don't want to have a Tetris fight. I'm just gonna cut my Tetris one.
Thank you.
City Streets, okay, good.
Although now I feel like I'm not gonna be able to support these other Tetris moments that much because they weren't mine, but that's fine.
I mean, here's the
Uh-oh.
thing. Like, I understand if ultimately some of us really don't like Tetris Effect or have something against it, but like,
I mean, for sure, we had
some of us-
3 games at one. I mean, at some point. in
yeah,
time,
yeah. I mean,
to
we
do it.
gotta cut
Yeah.
some of it, but like some of us feel really strongly about it, and we gotta meet in the middle somewhere. Like, like if I don't care how much you.
One of them literally just says any of the water levels.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's
exactly.
also-
Yeah.
That's not one that got highlighted, but
Throw me my life raft there, guy.
like it has to be a nuanced conversation. I don't want it to be a thing of like, well, I did this before, so this doesn't speak to me. That's fine, but I don't want it to be this thing existed before this, so it shouldn't be recognized here. Like I want there to be more nuance to it. I want us to find somewhere in the middle where we can have a more interesting conversation.
Mhm.
Scott,
what's this Rage in Peace? This is very
Rage in Peace doesn't have a specific moment tied to it.
yeah.
So.
No, it doesn't. I would say the last chapter of that Rage of Peace.
Do you feel strong enough to keep it on here?
For right now, right?
Okay,
I think
sure.
there's a discussion around Rage and Peace.
Okay.
But whatever.
It's okay. I mean, we're bumping everything that we want here. And Florence, we obviously already had a conversation about. So.
Okay.
That would be my other one. Scott, are you in here? I feel like we're like one person down.
No, I'm in here.
Okay.
I'm in here.
I tabbed over the God of One.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, I feel good about this.
Oh, okay.
A lot of for God of War.
Yeah, it's more support.
There's
for
three.
God.
That is
there
a
were three
lot
for God
more
of
than
War
I
that were
expected.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
support than I thought.
I tabbed over the returning back to home. That was the one.
I tabbed over the other two.
I'm just gonna transition my Octopath one into the best design because I thought it was more like individual level, so
Mhm.
that's why I put this. So I can save my Octopath Preach for the best style.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So we're just running through these other ones real quick.
Yeah,
Is that
so
what's happening?
we're gonna cut Hitman 2, Monster
Quinn,
Hunter, Monster
Give me your
Hunter
Hitman
World.
2 pitch
Third
real
L,
quick.
baby, third L. No, so
Sorry,
a lot
I'm
of
taking L's.
Hitman 2016 was like these, like oily pastel, like worlds.
Mhm.
Then Hitman 2 is more of like this bright neon in your face,
Yeah.
colors, and that's something I really like. Those two color contrasts are really
I
well.
agree.
Miami does a really like in your face, like it's
Mhm.
like neons everywhere. Then the Isle of Seagal is like dark and like almost black and white. Like with like,
Miami specifically is a
red.
very sexy like level for the first intro for if you're just playing Hitman. Like it's really cool.
Mhm.
and I think I know they're both. I'm taking my third L here.
Mhm.
Isle of Seagal is excellent, simply because it does the thing which I say in my review. It's like this vertical climb to get where you want to be. You start at the bottom, then you slowly have to make your way up and get new disguises and understand the layout better. And it's a beautiful level. And I think IO Interactive is at their best in that level, is because it's basically go from the bottom and climb your way to the top. But how you do so is going to be different, and there's so many different ways to approach that. So,
shout out to Hitman.
Shout out to Hitman, man.
That's a good game.
Hitman's
Monster Hunter World: The Ancient Forest.
Is this the one with the dragon that pops out and then the waterfall fucking happens and shit?
The giant coral mushrooms or whatever, right?
No, the ancient forest is the first one.
It's the first
Yep.
level.
Oh, okay.
The one you're talking about with the coral stuff, I think that's called like Coral Highlands.
Okay, never mind. I thought you were talking about.
Yes, coral.
I added Agent Forest.
Yeah.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. I also that like sense of verticality.
Yes.
That I really think
I do like. Yeah. When I read that, I definitely kind of. I wasn't sure who put it, but I also started thinking about like that is like a good first.
It's great first.
It was a really good
level,
first zone.
Yeah.
Or open area or whatever you want to call it.
Huh.
Yeah.
It sounds cool.
Because like Hitman, it does that sense of verticality. You start at the bottom, then you go to other worlds, and you come back, and you do the same thing. But each time you come back, you're climbing higher and higher until you're at the top. And it's really smart game design.
Yeah.
Like it's really smart.
And
and even not even not like by like verticality standpoints, even just by like introducing you to like how Monster Hunter World like works, and that like you'll walk around and like find like the Great Jagras like pit, like where all like the younger ones live, so you know like, hey, it's usually hiding around this area, or like the big like flowery like dandelion area where like the poison guy is, and like you can tell where like monsters kind of exist in this world, and like makes it feel like a lived-in world, and it just like introduces you to that concept of like you can kind of go to areas on these maps and like realize where these monsters are like, and like they're always like designated locations, and like they're always, and there's always like they always like have the worlds in a way, even though like they're very dense and there's multiple ways to get everywhere, they always make those kind of through lines to like it makes sense for like this monster to kind of be moving around this area because it was either just coming from its den or is like going back somewhere else, and it's like a good introduction to that.
Yeah. I also love like the foresty vibe that they've brought, because like the higher you go, I don't know, the Ancient Forest is great level design. Capcom like
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's a great first level too.
If someone who didn't want to actually invest a lot of time in Monster Hunter World, but would like to get the taste and flavor of Monster Hunter World, should I just play that first level?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I
put in the Messenger Water Temple level. We're gonna have to just leave it for that one. I did. Am I the only person here that finished the Messenger?
Ooh,
yeah, it's the same. It's in that same place for me of like I've played so many other Metroidvania style games this year that I want to play it, but I just couldn't jump into like.
For me, it's I want to play on
six.
PS4. So
yes, you'll finish it, but I also think that I assume that you put Bamboo Grove.
I didn't.
Oh, you did really?
Yes.
I just like Bamboo Grove more.
Bamboo Grove is good.
Yeah.
I'll share my thoughts when we get to it.
Yeah.
I got to the part where you get 16-bit, but I didn't play much past that.
Okay. Did you finish it, Logan? Did you play it?
No, I got very far into it. I mean,
I've
not finished it.
There's a series of levels that you kind of discover in the post game of the Messenger. For me, like I think there are 3 or 4 of them. I think all of them are easily the best levels in the game. The Water Temple I really liked in it because it has amazing music, much like most of that game, to be fair. But I don't know, it's cool. It's like it's kind of like Square in a way. It's very much like you're kind of going out to points and then coming back to a center point. It's designed differently. You get the ability to run on water in it, which is just very, very cool. And then you later use those same boots to run on lava. and it changes the dynamic of traversing that game completely. Much like, which happens about 6 times in that game.
In that game,
you are like 14 hours into it, and then you get another thing that changes how you're traversing, and it's like, oh my god, I didn't expect this. And then like it ends on this kind of very sweet story moment that is kind of alluding to like the larger narrative that it kind of gets into at the very, very end. That's just, it's very wholesome. It's good vibes. I think it's awesome. I think it's one of the coolest levels in the game. But yeah, it doesn't have to say. I think something similar can be said for quote unquote any of the water levels. Fuck me up, fam. For Tetris Effect.
Any of them, yeah.
I assume this was the one that you added, George.
No, I thought you added that.
Okay.
I think it was Quinn.
too.
I think it was Quinn.
I didn't want to put it on. I hated that someone put it on there because I thought that was gonna the Tetris group any fucking leeway in these conversations because it's just so vague.
Yeah,
But
it's very vague. Like obviously that of them, I would say Into the Deep, the first level in the game is probably the strongest one. It is, especially like after you finish the game and you kind of get the point of it and you go back into it, and it is like this thesis that it is presenting to you. It's very good. We don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time on it. I'm sure we'll talk plenty about Tetris Effect later on. Octopath Traveler, Still Snow. What is Still Snow supposed to be one word?
Yeah, it's a town.
Yeah.
It's and I'll get more into it when I dive into my pitch for best style. But it was one of the first areas where the visual aesthetic of Octopath I thought really shined. Like the snow, how they kind of had the snow sparkle, and the snow. They had it snowing in the foreground. How they did it, so. I just thought it was incredibly beautiful. It was the first area in Octopath where I was like, wow.
I will say, someone who doesn't like the look of that game at all, that was the one that I thought did look really good. So I'm glad we don't have best looking category because I would not be kind to that game. But yeah.
I agree with George. That game made my head hurt to look at.
I love how that
moving
game
on.
looks.
I loved Octopath.
Rad. Raging Peace final level. You've swapped this down, Logan. I see.
Yes. Because I don't want to get too far into Raging Peace for this category in particular. But Raging Peace, I think what it does with its final level and how it kind of, I think, subverts what it's already established the other 4 worlds. Is really, really cool.
Can you explain what it is real quick for the audience, actually?
Raging Peace is a Super Meat Boy influenced, sort of like Celeste 2, like really, really brutally hard platformer. I call it like a bullshit platformer in the way that like you have to die a bunch of times to understand what you're doing or where you're going even.
TM.
Like even as opposed to like Meat Boy, where it's like you could theoretically like you can see what's in front of you. Like Raging Peace, like you just have to walk and like die in order to know like where the traps even are. Like it doesn't like they're hidden until you like stumble upon them. And it's basically set with like the main character Timmy is visited by the Grim Reaper and said that he's going to die that day, and his one dream is to die peacefully in his sleep at night. And so the whole journey is for him to get to his house that day. No matter what you do, you're going to die that day. You can't avoid that. It's just getting to at least like live your dream, and he has like much like flashbacks to kind of why he's kind of emotionally dead inside. The story stuff is really fantastic, legitimately. But gameplay wise, it's really, really cool and really, really neat. It's very frustrating at times, but the last world is really cool because it peels back a lot of the kind of parts that can be frustrating or annoying to kind of headbangingly difficult, and just kind of let you enjoy the world and like the fantastic music that Raging Peace has throughout. And just to kind of like just soak up that story, and it's just like there are almost no enemies in the last chapter. There's almost no enemies you kind of come across, or really any obstacles at all. Just like exploring that final world, and it's really, really cool and really, really neat. And I think is a good emotional payoff after what the previous 2 chapters in particular are. So just say that we don't need to keep it, but it's a neat chapter because it's only the other ones are usually about like an hour to an hour and a half long. Chapter 5 is probably about 20 minutes. It's significantly shorter.
Question.
It's really neat.
Does this game have an assist mode?
It's got something called goldfish mode that I didn't do that makes it easier. So I don't know what exactly until you know that it makes the game easier.
I only
don't
asked
know
because
how.
what you said sounds cool, but I don't want to put myself through that.
Yes, it's got something to make it easier. I don't know what it.
Okay.
Again, I didn't
Right.
do it. But yes,
Okay.
I would say if you beat Celeste, which again has an assist mode, you can beat most of this game except for maybe Chapter 4, which is just utter bullshit at times.
Okay.
Chapter 4, it definitely almost broke me. I won't deny that. But
All right.
yeah.
Far Cry 5 Faith Boss. Is this?
Yes, this is also me, obviously, because I'm the person who put himself through that.
Shout out to Far Cry 5. Y'all remember that game?
Yeah, it's a video game.
Yeah, Far Cry 5
Here it is.
is a video game.
I enjoyed it.
It's fine. That's Irrational Passions of you. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
it's the part that I liked the most, which apparently was way more different than I thought it would be, was Faith's section of the game. I really liked her section. I thought she was at least different from Jacob and John and Paul and Joe, the other fucking dudes who were just all dude bro saying
Jacob and Jinger Gang. And
yeah, exactly. Who cares?
I love
Ringo.
Yeah, and
Your game
Faith
best
was at least
character.
like a cool, unique character, and as like her interactions, I really liked. And the fact that like she wasn't really like evil, quote unquote, in like the same way. Like she was much more complicated, I thought. And like that could be done not well at times, but like the final boss fight in particular, like where you fight her, and as you fight her, she kind of like reveals more and more of her story, which you could have missed through the cutscenes and like kind of the way that they hint at things, or you could just miss because like there's a lot of like documents and papers you can pick up that kind of reveal more about her like character. But then at the actual fight where she like just like kind of confronts it and just kind of like addresses a lot of the issues around it, and like the fact like she's actually like not the first Faith kind of person. Like there's been other kind of people with the same name that have kind of been in that world, and like her kind of history with Jacob and everything. It's a really cool, I think, way to do that boss fight. And like I said at the time, and I still stand by it now, like I think Far Cry 5 would have been way cooler if like Faith had been a significantly bigger presence in that game, and or if she just straight up been the main villain. Like that'd have been a way more interesting, way more nuanced video game. And like that fight to me is like the example of that. It's also like the best boss fight in the game, which is admittedly saying very little.
You have to say.
But they're bringing
it's-
Preacher Boy back for
Yeah,
Far
New
Cry
Dawn.
Come on, Logan. Woo!
Yeah, let's
Yes.
blow it all
Get
up.
hype. Get hype.
Shit.
Far Cry 5's engine is trash. It is the most, and like I can't say it's the most trash engine of this year in video games, but it's definitely trash.
I'm really curious. Actually, I have a new best design level. What about the last level of A Way Out, guys? Let's talk about.
Oh,
That where it turns into a
Absolute
third-person
spoilers.
shooter.
Fucking, it's the worst. Like it's one of the worst video game engines I've ever played in my entire. It's so bad. It's so like literally.
I'm excited for this.
When we get to like the final episode of that Let's Play series, it's just me and Mike being like, "Is this real? Like, is this like actually what happens?"
Mhm.
legitimately upset, and I'm just really confused.
Yeah, just bewildered.
Pretty
Like,
much,
what is
there's pretty much
happening?
like two. There's like two. I think like the two last episodes are pretty much just that. We're
Yeah,
just kinda
and like the last ones in
huh?
particular, like there's almost no dialogue. We're talking, we're just like, what the fuck is like, what is
Yeah.
this? Just all we say basically.
Yeah,
for
we're just
15
very
minutes.
just.
This
really
sounds great. This sounds
Excellent.
So
fantastic.
confused.
I can't
Excellent.
wait.
We're almost there. Well, by the time this goes up,
It'll probably be out.
Yeah, people
They'll
will
be
know.
out. So everyone will know.
Old man.
Everybody will know.
Old Man's Journey, final act.
Yes. So Old Man's Journey final act is really cool because it's I think it's maybe it's a little similar to Florence. And this is kind of obviously it's a culmination of everything else, but like how it kind of subverts, I think, the established things you've been doing over and over and over again, but then does it in a really different way at like the last second. I really enjoyed and really liked. It's also really sad. Old Man's Journey as like a really bittersweet ending.
He is old,
and
so
I think that how it plays it out, and like again, kind of the short, like quick vignettes it's been giving you throughout the game, how they kind of build up to that ending is really well done. It's ultimately, I like Florence for starters more than Old Man's Journey. And also just there are other moments that kind of hit me harder, but Old Man's Journey ending, going back to like Crybaby Boy Team, definitely made me like tear up at the very least. It's very good.
Mhm.
I'm into that.
And it's very beautiful ending, how it ties the gameplay tropes that they've used, and also how it ties the kind of vignettes it's been using over and over again.
Yeah, I did
People
play it.
Old Man's Journey. It's really
Yeah, I was gonna say I played it like I think last year
it's a new video game.
on mobile, and yeah, it is there's some really good moments in that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all the ones we have to cut?
That's all the ones we got to cut. I will
Alex,
say
you wanna
though.
read it?
All right, so best design level, we're down to Messenger Bamboo Grove, Celeste the Climb to the Summit, Tetris Effect Orbit, Tetris Effect City Streets, God of War Returning Back Home for a Weapon, God of War Land of the Giants, God of War Greatest Fights Compilation, Return of the Obra Dinn, Florence First Dates, Red Dead 2 Let's Go Fishing, Detroit Car and Alice Go to the Music Park, Detroit Connor Chase Scene. So I bumped up to the City Streets Tetris Effect level and the Detroit Connor Chase Scene. I'm already getting the vibes. Obviously, that Connor Chase Scene is not going to make it to the final three.
No, but I think you can both shout out that scene.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's a great scene.
It's awesome. It's like I think
awesome.
there is like a moment with Detroit where I was like hard in, and there was this was one of them.
Yeah,
I had.
Is this the part where you're in the apartment and then you
Where you kill the fish?
No,
Kill the
this
fish?
this is the part where you do not kill the fish. You either save the fish or you're dead to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the part where you are looking for a deviant with Hank.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I remember now.
And
like that's to me like the build up to it too is so good, well done. I think too, like kind of the building like tension, suspension, like something's not quite right here. And
The
then how it
pigeons,
all-
right?
yeah, this is
Fucking
the
pigeons?
pigeon
It's the
level.
pigeons. It's really
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
Where you find, I believe, Rupert, I think is the
Yes,
deviant's
I
name.
think that sounds right.
Sounds right.
It's an
That
R name
sounds
for sure. I'm very bad
It's
with
Rupert
names.
then.
But it's either Ralph or Rupert, and I don't think it's Ralph. And
It's definitely not Ralph.
That doesn't sound French enough.
Yeah, it's true. It's Rupert. It's just there's so many parts of it that are great. It's like an investigative scene, which
Yes.
I like pretty much all of Connor's scenes.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's it's a very action packed one. There is specifically, so you are looking for a deviant. You're finding clues. The music is very, very slowly building as you get one more clue. The music adds like another layer to it, and it's getting so fucking tense. And then you realize that the deviant is still in the apartment, and it's like a very much like a knuckle clenching moment. And then he runs for it out the window, and you chase after him. And then you're going on a series of like high risk versus low risk opportunities to catch up with him. And there is a specific moment that is just like the most Blade Runner fucking moment, but it's amazing, where Connor jumps onto a moving train and then like slow-mo looks up and then looks to the right, and his tie is swinging, but he's totally stone-faced. And then it cuts to Hank, and he's like, "This is fucking crazy!" And then you're like running along a train after a dude, and it's just, and the music
It's
is
a good moment.
the music is incredible. It's just a very good moment.
And to me, it's the because obviously there's been a lot of conversation, including on the Roundtable pod we did about like the QTEs in the game and like how well done they were or not.
That
to me was the best usage.
the best.
Yes.
The entire game. It's so well done. They're so seamless, and it's so it always felt right. And like that whole moment is like, damn. Now I'm almost like thinking about like that whole exchange is.
It's
so
also
good.
it's very David Cage moment in terms of this, like,
But like in a good way.
Yeah, in a good
it's done
way.
well. It's done well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna say right now,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna throw my weight around a Detroit scene, it's gonna be that scene.
Yeah,
me, for
I
sure.
agree. But like, I know it's like, I don't know if either of these Detroit scenes are gonna hang. Ultimately, like, we gotta start making hard cuts.
Also, in the spirit of a good level, because the mechanics, like, those are the key mechanics of Detroit, and they are executed perfectly there for that entire scene to go out.
It's very well designed. It's very fun. It's very enthralling. But I think we can cut it.
Now, I will also say we have some order now. I think it's time that we shake things up real quick. I think we need. I don't feel bad about myself.
Yeah,
And my taste in the world.
and you should.
I think we could use a little something, Alex.
I think let's get a write-in correspondent, Jarrett Green, on the line here. We have a Jarrett take. He says Aberrang from the Banner Saga 3. I don't know if I'm
a
saying
video game that came out.
a video game that came out this year, as it turns out.
Good.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize, Jarrett. I'm sure he is upset, but he's not listening to this anyway.
Especially this many hours into it.
But this is his take, which I do think is unlike the last category, which was more of a joke, this is a little bit more nuanced here. He says, you spend the first 2 games fleeing to the city, knowing it's the last stand for anyone in the world looking to hold out against the encroaching darkness. You spend much of the 3rd game defending Aberrang from attackers on the walls and defending yourselves from each other on the inside. Very cool, nuanced, dramatic storytelling interwoven with the adventure game tactics. Adventure game / tactics game mechanics that y'all would know plenty about if you played good video games.
We don't play good games, though.
Yeah, we only play
That's
trash.
your mistake, sucker.
Yeah, we apparently played Detroit, and it was a good choice.
Detroit. Great video game according to Rash Passions.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. All right,
So-
man. Here we are. We're in it. This is the tough stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
So can
I
just
want to
say,
have the Tetris.
as an aside.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say
mean,
something different, but we can do that.
I was gonna say I was gonna let you guys have this fight because honestly, for me,
I have no stake.
like
in this
the
horse.
I have
I'll
no
never
stake.
play
I have
Tetris,
no stake now because
Yeah.
like I think that water level, the very first one, is like
Kinda-
I don't think the game ever hit that high again for
Okay.
me personally.
Okay.
But since you guys are more into it, obviously, so
I want to
If
hear
you-
what you have to say about Orbit, George.
Sure. So there are a lot of, I don't even know why this is the level that resonated with me, but know that I'm not great at Tetris because I never cared about it. I only played it a lot with my mother when I was at a very young age. And since then I haven't cared. Orbit is one of the last few levels in Tetris. And 2 levels before this, it's when shit clicked to me and I got Tetris and I was killing it. Suddenly, like everything, like, oh, it all makes sense. Let's just go here. Let's go here.
Beautiful
It's
mind
going
moment,
at an
yeah.
intense speed. And Orbit is a space level where you're on a space station. And every time you rotate the pieces, it makes like a sort of like a little this is ground control, like sort of like very spaceman talking to like home base noises. While this like little techno song builds. And so for me, this level, obviously it's a Tetris level, so it fits the spirit of the category. But for me, it was the moment of understanding that, like, I was in the Tetris zone. Like, for the first time, like, I get it. I'm going to beat this game. This is fantastic. And the music is swelling. And not only that, but it's showing space travel. And, like, look at how fucking cool space is, guys. We went to space. That's fucking crazy. We're just fucking dumb people. Who gives a fuck? We're just, like, getting water and shit. Who cares? But it's a moment that shows how, for me, it was like, man, space travel is so cool. And I'm getting this Tetris and the Tetris effect. And the music is so awesome. All of it came together. And I was just like, man, for me, this was the level. And that's all I'll say. So, yeah.
I get that. Like, for me, it's also like I didn't put it on here because I think City Streets is, I think, easier to explain.
Sure. It's also like the probably the most like Twitter moment. Like, I can show this to you. Like, look at how cool this is.
Yeah, exactly. But like another level that I really liked and I wanted to put on here was the Metamorphosis, which is the final level of Tetris Effect, which I guess like that's more of a take or leave it type level for a lot of people, I think, but that is very much the culmination of that game for me. So City Streets is a level where you're kind of like moving through a city through the day, and then it slowly becomes nighttime. It's like inferred New York City. And like when it becomes nighttime is when the city comes alive. I think like one of the best arguments for this level was when I played it for the first time with Quentin Hoffman. He got so emotional that he literally said, "I don't know what the fuck is happening," and stood up and walked away because it was too much for him, which is like top 5 like video game moments for me this year just in general, is like seeing Quinn just freak out because it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was so awesome. And it was just a very satisfying moment for me because I'm having the same realization, but like I was kind of more emotionally prepared for it, but Quinn was not, and it was just very cool. Essentially, you know, like it is very similar. Like Tetris Effect takes like shifting tetraminos into like musical notes where you are kind of creating your own music as you play, which is like the Mizuguchi way, so to speak, I would say, from what I understand with my very base understanding. But it is a genre of music I like a lot, and it is a genre of music that I think speaks to Tetris very specifically well, which is jazz. You are literally creating freeform jazz by rotating and placing pieces.
It's so fucking good.
It's fucking wild, and it is all like through like this, this 2-layered metaphors of like, Tetris is in its own way, visual jazz is like a statement that they are making, which is like a hot take, whatever, but like the way that they execute on that, I think is fucking awesome. But on top of that, like this city evolving around you and becoming more alive as the night goes on, and like these beats like creating around you as it gets later into the evening is like another kind of layered metaphor of like the jazz is a part of life and a part of the city, and it's a part of like the nightlife of this unknown city. But yeah, like you literally creating freeform jazz by playing Tetris is like, for me, one of the coolest fucking things in the world. It is incredible. I think playing it, feeling it, it feels just unbelievable. Like it was the first time in the game where I started like dropping and rotating pieces to a rhythm unconsciously. Like I have no rhythm. Like I'm not a rhythm-driven person at all.
That's partly why I'm so surprised Tetris spoke to you so much. Because you are making music.
It is like by playing Tetris, you are making music. It is nothing more than that. You are just so like me, just kind of naturally falling into this flow of, because like I love Tetris. On the opposite end of this, Tetris is one of my favorite games of all time as far as like a puzzle game of that ilk, like a block-based puzzle game. I think it is hands down the best. And so this is like a very much a thing I already love, made completely new again for me, and it is bringing out aspects of me that I didn't know existed within me, like this aspect of rhythm and this aspect of movement. I didn't even know I had it in me type thing, and that was like the first level where that clicked for me, and it's amazing. I think it is incredible, and like that pacing I think is throughout the whole game, and different people will get different things out of the different levels, kind of like what you got out of that one, George. But it's all like, I have my Galaxy Brain take of Tetris effect is just a metaphor for the human condition, but that is like the first moment where it really clicked with me. And then when I went back and played through the game multiple times over and over and again, it just like every time that clicks in with a level is just a very emotional moment for me. And this was the first level that clicked for me. I think
that being said, Alex, do you want to hold hands and maybe jump off a cliff?
I mean, maybe, because like I like if Mike fucking hates this game so much, and I know I'm being hyperbolic.
There's going to be a moment where we can't avoid Tetris. I'm going to say that right now. There's going to be a conversation we can't.
I don't want to have a big fight about it. Like I don't want to get into an argument about it. Like if it didn't work for you, whatever. Like I guess.
It's also like specifically to the person for each level of this game.
Yeah, like there are different levels that will click with different people, and I think that's beautiful and perfect and amazing. And like I said, like I'm at a point in my life where I can't play Tetris Effect front to back without breaking down into tears, and maybe that's just where I'm at in my life right now. And maybe that speaks to the quality of the game. I think so, but I'm not here trying to have a big argument about it. I think the City Streets is one of the best design levels ever. But I'm not trying to make this a whole thing. If I am like alone, if it's just me and Quentin on this bridge sailing away into like a Viking funeral, like whatever, that's fine. I'm ready to hold hands and jump off this bridge with you, George. I can say goodbye.
I mean, what I'll say is that
again, I was gonna say I let everyone else go around.
What I'll say is that I haven't played Tetris Effect.
I'm willing to cut Orbit.
I was going to say the opposite. I loved George's description of Orbit. That sounded fucking amazing to me. And like,
let's come back to them then. Let's keep going.
I think at least one of the Tetris games should at least have like still be in contention for a top 3 spot. Surely, it's like I don't think we need to get rid of either one right now. I think we can get back to it either way.
Okay.
Like, I don't think either one needs to be generated right now. I don't think you can jump off the bridge just yet.
Yeah, I want to get to another game that's two. Alex, you were gonna say something. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, for me, I only have one horse in this race.
That's why I'm saying, like, I think we can get back to this, right? Yeah, and like not get rid of either one right now.
But I also, I'm saying, like, I respect that I could be in the minority on this, and that's fine. Like,
Sure.
I would rather, like, I got my W for the day. Like, I got
Sure.
Hollow Knight at the end of Best Old Game, and I am like the most willing to compromise of anyone here. This is not a hill I'm gonna die on.
Thank God we're not ranking our final 10.
Yeah.
Good Lord. That
Boy
would be
howdy.
bad.
But like, I am very much a very compromisable person. I am not.
Some would say Tetris Effect is top 4 games of the year, but at least.
Luckily, we're not doing it. We haven't even
Yeah.
announced that either. Like,
No numbers.
for people listening, when we get to our top 10 games of 2018, there's one winner and 9 runners up, and that's it.
Yep.
There's no order to it. So, but
So-
yeah, we'll come back to it. But like, again, I'm not trying to get in a big fight about this. It's not a big deal for me.
That being said,
George,
I want to
yeah.
have another like one-on-one. Quinn, we have for Celeste here, the Climb to the Summit. Is that the last?
You mean the
is that
last chapter? Yeah, I don't know what that
culmination?
means either.
Isn't
I'm
the
going to die in that hill.
isn't the
No,
core technically the last?
what chapter is that? Just to be clear, are you saying the last chapter?
Is that the last one?
Summit?
Yeah, it's the one that
Okay.
when you get the double jump, the double
Okay.
dash.
Then I think you're alone with that one. Then.
Yeah.
He's not alone with that one. I'm absolutely
You? Okay.
I'm with him on like that is like my favorite level in Celeste, and I fucking
Okay.
love that level. So
'Cause I love the themes and the story of Celeste so much, but for me that wasn't that. I think it was a good bookend, but it didn't resonate with me. Like my favorite level in that game is the hotel. That's my favorite level.
Really?
that's my least
I
favorite
love-
level. I think.
I love
my
Mr.
favorite.
Shiro. He's
That
great.
was my least
It,
favorite.
the thing is,
Mr. Shiro is great.
I'm so upset because like in theory the hotel should have been my favorite level,
Yeah,
but like I think mechanically it was just like it didn't click with me.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
And I think it's because I just babied through it. So.
I'm also like the guy. I think I'm the only one here that like I did all the B-sides, and I those are probably my favorite levels in the game. Like I think the through line main story of Celeste is awesome, and it is like a good vehicle for the story. I also didn't play with any assists on.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Alex O'Neil is a real ass gamer.
I'm a
y'all.
real gamer boy in the big baby cry club, whatever we decided to call it, the cry boy baby club. But like I had some of the most fun with Celeste in the B-sides because I like that kind of super difficult action platformer stuff. I know I'm probably the only one here that is with that.
I mean, again, it's gonna be. I don't think that's true on that on like hard platformers per se.
Yeah, I don't know if you checked any of those out, Logan. Those that like
Yeah,
revitalized.
I did the one in chapter 2 when I unlocked it.
Okay.
As a person who like I would just go on a limb and say like Celeste the least
Mhm.
that is played in any sort of meaningful way.
I
mean, like it's.
I think we need to leave this moment for now.
I would say like
yeah, like I'm fine leaving it for now, but like
the
it'll be. I mean, I don't know.
the
Celeste
level
has just not done anything for me, really.
the level that spoke to me the most in Celeste, for your reference, Quinn, is the one with the feather, the first one with the feather. I think it's level.
Okay.
I think it's level 4.
Okay,
That
chapter
is-
4. That's what I just finished.
That's a
there,
whole
yeah.
lot.
And I like that one a lot. It's between that and like the last one though that I really like. Also,
Chapter 4 is
Okay.
good.
the core, very good level. I don't know if anybody unlocked it, but
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah, for me, it's Oshiro, but just fine. That's not on this list. So that's
If y'all
fine.
want to know what I don't give a shit about, it's God of War. So if y'all want to have that fight, I'm out.
I don't think it's gonna be a fight. I mean, though.
Yeah. Well, okay. So can we define what this greatest fights?
So I don't know. Yeah, the greatest hits compilation is the thing where you, like the one where basically like all of the enemies that you've fought from before come at you in like that one room. I couldn't think of like an actual name for that because I don't know what they had called it, but like basically that thing. Like you're traveling to I think Midgar at the end of the game where you're traveling back to the thing, and they're all in that one room. They all come back to you fight again. It's basically just like you get to fight everything you ever fought, and it's fucking awesome.
Don't remember.
I don't remember this
Yeah,
at
I
all.
don't remember it either.
Really?
Is it the one with all the fucking flying dark elves?
It's everything.
Oh,
Everything that I've ever
yes.
fought all comes at you. Basically, in, like waves.
Oh,
Getting
like,
to
yeah,
get
'cause
in,
you're-
travel
you're-
through, like the realms.
You're in the realm tower that it's like lost in
Yes.
like the realm between, and you are
You're
like
coming back, and it all
shifting
comes
through the
from
realms.
that?
Yeah,
I didn't like
Yeah.
that part.
That ain't
I
it,
loved
Chief.
it. That was
Yeah.
absolutely one of my favorite parts of the entire game. It is incredible. It is like, yeah, like obviously if you haven't played God of War, it is basically like all the different types of like enemies come at you over like waves again and again. So you have like the dark elves and the light elves and like the trolls and the
I've
giant.
never
Like,
been a huge fan of the Force Gauntlet section.
Yeah, that felt to me like, yo, we need to.
see that felt to me like it felt like such a kind of the culmination of the entire game's journey all right there, right? Like that, like obviously, like that to me honestly felt like a high point than like what the actual like final boss fight was.
Sure.
That the final boss fight was like
that final boss fight is a bummer.
Yeah,
well, it's just such a like
Sure.
it's just so weirdly dumb, but like that felt like I got to that like I feel like I've beaten God of War kind of way, or that was such a great kind of like capstone to that journey and all the different enemy types, like because that was like the actual boss fight for like the fighting mechanics in that game, because the actual final boss fight is like he doesn't really use any of those.
Logan.
It's just you doing like weird like climb a giant and like it's not the same thing.
Logan,
So I
as you
love
predict,
that gauntlet thing.
as you
What?
predicted in April, you somehow became the #1 God of War
And this
fan.
is still the thing, and like I like that's why I was looking at it earlier when I was like scrolling through, because I haven't seen any of our like category nominees until tonight. Where I was like scrolling through for like top 10 games, and it's like, God damn it, I'm gonna become the God of War guy, and I don't want to do it. 'Cause I'm the person who's like, I'm not the God of War guy. I'm not Troy Starkey or Greg Miller, who's like, it's my favorite game of all time kind of thing. But it's like, I do think God of War is still fantastic, and so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I think
I have a
that-
solution
Okay.
for all these God of War categories, and we
Yeah.
can put one category that actually mattered in God of War.
Yeah.
The first fight with that asshole in the beginning of the game
stranger
before the
fight.
actual game starts is
Boulder?
fucking fantastic.
I think it's
Yes,
fantastic
absolutely,
too. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
dope.
Boulder's fight's fantastic.
Yeah. The
I think the first Boulder fight is my favorite moment of the game. Actually, now that I
Yeah.
think about it.
It's a phenomenal moment.
it's the. I
It is
mean,
phenomenal.
for me, like there was no moment that hit a peak higher than that.
Yeah,
For me, there were quite a few, but that one is again
Yeah.
that is a fantastic like opening kind of segment to that game.
The whole end of that game is like a big bummer for me, honestly. And
Where I think we're
I would say like the for me like the final fight was a bummer, but I would
Yes.
say when they actually go to
Mhm.
like where
this
they
is-
want to
this
go
is
to
the other one
to Jotunheim, and like they go to like that whole sequence I thought was
Yes.
really cool.
Yeah.
In terms of
Phenomenal.
like I want to see like like some of the setups they do in terms of like I actually want to see where they go with these next games. It could be good or bad in the next
Sure.
game, but I want to see it. Like they like they've strung me along enough to like with stuff they showed at the end to be like, okay, I want to see
that
where
being
they
said,
want to go with
that-
this.
is
Yes.
Greatest
I mean,
Fights compilation gonna make it?
No.
I loved that moment. I mean, like, but beside the point. Like, Mike hit another moment, the second moment for me for God of War, which is when you go. I mean, when you get to the ended segment, we've been trying to get to the entire game. You go there, right? And like what you do with the ashes. Like, I loved that moment.
I
It
feel
was
I
so-
feel
like, just, like,
better
walking
about that
through, like,
moment.
yeah, like having there's no enemies you fight. There's nothing. Just anyway, you just go through and get told stories and see things that might be the future or might not be the future, right? And like you learn about like so much about like, who's Kratos' wife is and like where kind of
Better not have
air
be him
traces
fighting,
everything,
goddamn,
and like
fucking nice.
it's so good and so like emotionally, I think, kind of earned at that point. Like what they do and like the fact that it isn't some crazy giant big thing. It's just literally just like a tiny gesture, right? It's Kratos just like finally putting his arm around his son's shoulder, right? That he's almost at a lot, but finally does here, right? And it's like that moment. It's them just having this over this like sun splash landscape. And it's beautiful, right? And even that is like tinged with tragedy, and it's like so well done, and like it's
Some would say over
it's a
dramatic.
great-
George
maybe,
Clooney.
but that's also I'd argue like God of War is a giant like opera, and so like it's
Yeah.
gonna be like that's gonna
Sure.
be the piece, and it's
Sure.
really
Fair
I
enough.
think it's really great.
Can I put out my God of War? This isn't
it.
like taken away from this because I honestly really like the Jotunheim moment. Like,
Yeah.
But my like big hot take I had at the end of that game of why I feel like the end of that's a bummer. Is this a safe place?
Sure.
None of us are. Yeah, go.
The quote unquote reveal that they have at the end.
Spoiler alert, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, spoiler for God of War. I mean, we've all played it, so. But the reveal at the end of that game, I think is dumb.
Yep.
It didn't do anything for me at all.
But the point is that I mean like. Is that like that actually is like there's like actual like mythological things tied
I was
into
gonna,
that?
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I felt like there was a couple big things at the end. So you're specifically spoilers
Specifically
again.
talking about it.
He's
Trace.
he's talking
saying
about
that
Air
he
Trace
is-
being Loki.
He
Yeah.
is Loki. Okay.
Yeah. That I think is just like For me, and this is us bouncing around a totally separate spoiler, Logan. That we talked about on the podcast recently. That is very much like the Fantastic Beasts 2 moment of like, this is a reveal just to be a reveal.
Okay. And totally fair.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man, I didn't know that snake. Man, the kid was a snake the whole time, and the snake was a lady.
Yeah, like it
Man,
just
God of War, Game of the Year.
And that for me is like fair, right? Like, because when that happened to me, I wasn't like, yo, I was like, that's weird.
Yeah,
it was
weird.
It was more here and average,
Yeah.
like seeing like how like many like how like that makes sense, right? Where like we're like in actual like Norse mythology, like the person that kills, right? Like Boulder is Loki, and like it's because of these things. Like it's like it is almost like mythologically accurate if you want to get like that, and like it does make sense, and like it does lead to like really cool potential things.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for. Is like it was an interesting twist that I didn't see coming. Yeah, but like if you go back and replay it, like after God of War came out, I watched so many Cory Barlog videos and
everything,
things like that, and how they had little kind of hints that was going to be the case, that he was going to be Loki. I never got the feeling that it was just a reveal for reveal's sake or like a twist for twist's sake. But I did think, that's kind of interesting. I'm curious to. My thought was, I'm curious to see how they will take that in the next game, or how that will kind of grow from there. That's where I came out. It wasn't like, holy crap! Oh my god, I can't believe it. It was just like, how are they gonna spin this? Like, how are they gonna take
the next game?
Yeah. And more importantly
for me too.
That's a weird direction. Doesn't take away literally anything from how like phenomenal I think that ending is, and how like beautiful I think that like actual final segment is, where it's just like Kratos and his son walking together. And like even after they get rid of the ashes, right, it's like them walking back to the exit, and it's just Kratos telling his son why he chose him, Eritreus for him, right? And like
so like
the greatest soldier, like that is all so well done. I think that like the Loki thing is just like weird, but like this is incredible. Like this is like Kratos opened up in a way he's never opened before over 4 games. It's beautiful.
For me, like that reveal, like them kind of pushing that in there, totally ruined that moment for me.
And it didn't for me, right?
Yeah,
like,
the biggest like the kind of palate cleanser for me, because I was like, it felt so. And I like God of War. I'm not. It just like.
I feel like you're the opposite of me, where it's like I'm not in love with God of War, but I've had to become like the God of War like stand for IP, and like you don't hate God of War, but you've become like the God of War like I hate God.
I come across like I dislike the game, and I know that sucks. Like I think, especially mechanically, it's a very good game, but like
phenomenal.
The palate cleanser moment for me is like the credits rolling and him telling him the story of Atreus. Like I really love that moment.
Yes.
But like that whole everything that you're talking about at the moment just before, where like they finally let the ashes go. Like it just like I'm sitting there thinking like, why is he Loki? Like why does he have to be somebody? Like why does he have to be some big part of this mythos? Like why couldn't this just be Kratos' son? Why couldn't he just be that? Like why couldn't he just be Atreus? And it's like, why can't this just be their relationship? No, it has to be some greater thing. And then I get this frustration very similar to what I had with Spider-Man of like, why does this have to be like a thing, like a big thing? Like, why do we have to be setting up for all these different things? Why do we have to make
a trilogy?
Yeah, why do we have to make a trilogy? Like,
I mean, that's just how I feel like that's just how
that's just video games, but like, you know, and
I know what you're saying. Like,
it's just like that was my feeling in the moment of like, I wanted this to just be Kratos
let him
paying
be
off
his hero,
his
own character.
Yeah, let Kratos like be kind of free from this mythology like that he's been trapped in for so long, and it's like, no, we're gonna suck him back in and you're gonna love it, you better fucking love it. And it's like,
let me just introduce you to God of War 2, where Kratos becomes Zeus's son.
It's that all over again for me. It's like
again, me and Jarrett literally did like an hour-long fucking like audio read about this whole thing, where it's like, it was dumb when they made him Zeus's son, and like this isn't this, like this at least is like somewhat like logically, like this makes more sense than that did to me. Where it's like this at least like somewhat tied into like that world in a way that like Zeus just being his dad is just like, all right, well now you just no, and also like this at least feels more like emotionally good, because like we get like that reveal at the end of it, where it's like I've had him to like invest in them being a father and son together. It's like Zeus is just like, what?
I
Like,
was.
what?
To be fair, like I was too much in my head for it. Like I think, but just like,
Sure, man,
that is
yeah,
the
and, like-
effect it had on me, and that is like
Yeah.
big. Like I soured on that game really quickly after that. A lot of the reason because of that, and that sucks. And like that's just my perspective. Like again, I don't really have a horse in this race, but like that's just where I'm coming from with it.
That being said, we have 3 God of War moments or
Scott
levels.
hasn't even talked about
Yeah,
like maybe the most talked about moment in the entire
Yeah,
game.
the one I put down, which is the one where Kratos goes back to get the Blades of Chaos.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, which is a whole section, like in the middle of the game. Probably one of my most memorable sections for a lot of folks.
Probably the most talked about.
Certainly the most talked about because it mechanically changes the game now. It is a huge pivot. Scott, did you want to talk about why did you like this? I think because I was ready to get rid of it, but if you liked it.
I loved it too. Yeah,
I absolutely loved it because for so long, this was one of, I think, probably the best kept, not spoiled secret in a video game this year. Because for so long it was all about the axe, and the axe is this is your weapon now, this is what you have to do, this is what the axe can do. And you've spent so much time getting to love the axe, to have you get that detachment from the Blades of Chaos, that it's like, okay, I like this axe now. I'm fine without the Blades of Chaos. And then the emotional need for that Kratos has to pick up them again, and like you feel it with the character, you feel it with the voice, and having to sail back to his house, and then all the flashbacks and the goddesses and the internal struggle, I thought was really handled well, and the dialogue, everything was so good. And all the way there, it's like when he first mentions he has to go and get something, you don't it might like, I wonder what he's going to get. And like as he's going down the river, as you get closer to the house,
and then you get the shot with him with Athena
oh my God.
in the boat.
Yeah,
that's very good.
It's like, oh my god, is it what I think I'm gonna do? Is it what I think it is? And then when you finally get it out, it's just like, holy crap! Like it was just such a good build-up moment, and it didn't feel like they were just throwing the Blades of Chaos back at Kratos. Like the fact that he had to pick
that Tales of Symphonia has ruined you, man. Kratos is coming back.
Yeah, man. Just that gravitas, I thought was really felt there, and it was a big deal for him to do it, and like how he like wrapped the chains around his wrists again and like pulled him taut. I think it was framed beautifully. It was acted beautifully. I just thought it was a really, really fantastic part, and
I think in the spirit
that you didn't have control going back, like they stole the control from the player.
And more for me too is how it doesn't end with you getting them, right? Like you walk through and then immediately have to like use them in this really like gory, bloody fight immediately with all the different kind of enemies types, right? And it is that kind of solid kind of unleash a little bit of that fear that has kind of been somewhat dormant, I think, in Kratos in a way. And it is just like this really great kind of immediate just kind of usage of them. You kind of see kind of the demons in a way that are a bit different, right? Because using an axe conveys some sort of kind of brutality and use of kind of force and using these kind of blades of chaos do, right? Like even in the name, they kind of connotate something differently. But like that whole genre there, it's like it's the emotional story beat that happens, right? Like with what's going on with Eritrea, there, it's the back and forth with Freya. It's the journey, the journey on the boat is one of my favorite moments in a video game this entire year. It's so, just like that quiet, because again, like as somebody who was a huge fan of just like quiet moments in games, just like the music building, the back and forth with Athena, and then just kind of right in there, and it's the storm clouds darkening more and more and more, and then just get in there, and like it's such a well put together series of scenes and moments building to that final kind of just like unleash a fury with the blades when you walk at the door and just wipe out everything.
Yeah, it's very cathartic. And
yes,
like for me, because like I definitely as soon as he said I have to go get a thing, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what this is. Okay, cool. This is cool that this is in this game. And it's cool that I didn't know about it. I suspected it, but I didn't know about it for sure beforehand. And it's also like, okay, I can't take screenshots again in this game. and post them on Twitter because the Blades of Chaos are on your back. And I was very conscious of that. I didn't want to ruin it for anybody.
Yeah.
And I appreciate a lot of people were very good about that. I saw somebody with I beat the last Valkyrie, and they had the Blades of Chaos thing on there like a week after the game came out. And I was like, you just ruined it for somebody, but not me. Got him. And
Ducker.
For me, like Kratos is my favorite part of the game. I don't like Atreus really. And so like this moment where you kind of go through this transformative sequence where Kratos is like literally taking his demons out of his heart for his son because he's willing to do anything for his son is like good. And it's like, I like it. I appreciate this moment. And like George was going to say, I think it is like very well designed and there's like a mechanical payoff in it. So it fits the spirit of the category, I think, the most. I think it is.
I think that's the moment.
Of the three, it is the moment. I know it's like so stereotypical. It's like the moment from God of War for everyone, but it is very good, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Can I delete the other two then?
Yes.
I would rather.
Okay.
I would rather stick with that moment personally.
I have no problem with that moment. I think the other two are great. But
I think you made a good case for all three of them too.
You did. You did a lot more than
It's a great moment.
I want to know about Obra Dinn because that game seems fucking dope, and I don't know anything about it.
I know. This is going to be a hard one for me because considering I'm the one who's played it.
And Obra Dinn's the ship, right?
Yeah, Obra Dinn is the ship specifically. Like basically, the premise of the game is you're an insurance adjuster for a company. It's set like in like 1800s. Basically, this company insured the ship to a crew of 60. It went out, and they didn't hear from it for years. And then the ship mysteriously just appears off of the side of the ship and off the side of like the like docks or wherever this place is, and it's like somewhere. Like I think they say Berlin, but I don't think they specifically mean that. Like I think that's just kind of like it's somewhere in the UK. But basically, you're sent to this ship to figure out where this crew of 60 have disappeared because they're all gone. So like the ship's just by itself. That's all you see. So you're sent to this ship. You're basically given a notebook to write down your findings and this like little weird like compass with a skull, which is basically this tool used to figure out all the events. But basically everything takes place on that ship. You are on the ship for the entire game. You're basically exploring all the different parts of it. Basically, you start by getting onto the ship. You kind of like see your surroundings. Which one, like if you haven't seen like what this game looks like, it is like I will talk. I think like it's hard to say this is the best design level because I'm the only person who's played it again. Like here, I think so. Like it's hard to like say it completely without like other people having not experienced it, but like you can look at that game and go like that's probably should be very much highly regarded in another
would you say it's stylish?
It is a very extremely stylish game, and it wears it for days, and it's very good and it's used very well. But anyway, we're talking about the mechanics. But basically, you're on the ship. All the mechanics are tied to what you're finding on the ship. What you find on the ship then reveals more like or opens up more parts of the ship to you to like go lower into it or find like little hidden passages or whatever. But basically the game opens up, you're on the ship, you basically find like a pile of bones on the ship. When you walk up to it, your character, it's all first person, immediately pulls out that little like compass you have like you're given right at the start. You kind of point it at it, you hit the trigger, and then it just warps out. And then it puts you into a freeze frame of the moment that body that you found's death. Like that person's, like it basically freeze frames you in a moment where this person died. And then you're given like, it's basically, you see the person, you see two people. One is being shot through the chest by another man through the captain's quarters. You basically have to, that's all you're given. You don't see like anything else. You just see these three people. You see them getting shot. You hear like little bits of dialogue interchange between them. It's literally just like words flashing the screen and just like them speaking. And then it just goes to that freeze frame.
Yeah.
And you're given very little information of what it is, but that's because it keeps building. Because once you find that body and it brings you back to where you are, and it's basically sort of time travel, but not really time travel, because you're literally only going to those freeze frames. You're not actually seeing any actual full-on movements through the game, but you basically come back. The captain's deck is open, and then you go in there and you find another body. Then you see another event of like that's where he is freeze framed and died, and you can see like him being stabbed by another crewmate. And it's set in a way that's like you can see all these other events happen because they just keep it leads you on a very smart breadcrumb trail of like you see that body, and then it leads you into this next room where you find like another like dead woman's corpse in a bed. Then you take that one, and then it leads you. This is gonna kind of spoil like the initial moment where it's kind of this moment of just like it opens your mind to like where this is going, because like it blows your mind, because you basically you take this woman's body. You basically start hearing the events of what happened. You hear like this rainy thunderstormy thing, and
I
Jesus.
appreciate George taking his microphones off to not hear this.
And you're basically just hearing this woman being like, "I'm looking for my husband," and like she's like screaming like frantically on this like watery. You can hear a storm happening. Then you just hear one of the crewmates being like, "What are you doing out here? It's dangerous." Then you hear a loud thump, and then it ports you in, and you see a freeze frame of a motherfucking kraken over the side of the ship, and like water being over, and like all of these like crewmates are like fighting them. You're seeing like a dude being like torn in half by like tentacles, and it's just like, holy shit, this just like escalated to like 20, because like all you saw before were just like a couple like dudes on a ship fighting each other. So you're like, all right, there's clearly some kind of squabble between crewmates, but then you see this unfold of like, here's this entire ship fighting this thing going on, and then it's just like, oh my god, I want to figure this out, and like it just keeps like escalating to different scenes. It does kind of like it doesn't do it by an order in any way, where you just go to a next body, and it could be anything. You start like seeing like dead bodies are people like in the process of dying in other scenes of people dying. So you're like going to like you're like jumping around to all these different moments on the ship and learning all these different things of like, oh, this group had some kind of plot to do this and like take over the ship for some reason, or like they were trying to haul all this cargo into a ship because they like took some stuff they shouldn't have, and then all of a sudden you're seeing like cargo like slip and crash into a dude, and it's all this multi-layered thing that's just like so fun to unfold.
And the thing that sucks is that because it's pretty much the entire game, it's hard to. But I think Oberdin, from what I've heard about it, from what Mike said, I think in terms of design, in terms of like what it does, is the most like conceptually unique and exciting things I've heard this year.
Yes. It's hard to
say. I think for sure it's a for world design. Like, was it best world? What do we have on this?
Best use of world building.
Best use of world building. I have a hard time walking away from it. Do you think it fits in this category?
Not. I won't die on a hill for it in this category. I would say just because like it's like I'm the only one here who's played it, so I'm just kind of the lone man swinging my flag on it. It depends on
from what I've heard.
It depends on if you want to go for all of the like because you can kind of mainline it and probably do it in like 4 to 5-ish hours. But
That's
if you want to if you want to solve every like mystery though,
I don't need to solve every mystery,
which is like super dense. Then like it's it could go up to maybe like 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Okay.
So do we take it off maybe? Because
that's fine. Because again, I've only played it. I like
the world design. I have a
So with that gone, we've 8 things. I think we can start going through.
Can I propose a cut?
Sure. I mean, I think
it's a 4 cut. It's 4 cuts. Just going off the temperature of this room, and it's gonna be they're hard cuts. This is not like an easy thing, but it is the temperature of the room.
Sure.
Both the Tetris effect levels, the messenger level, and the Detroit level.
So I was going to say
Tetris leaving.
I was going to say Detroit. I mean, one of the Tetris levels, the Messenger, and Red Dead.
Okay.
So basically, we can give it a Detroit, but we can go through that real quick.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
This
because this is the one that we can get rid of immediately, just because Alex, I think, is neutral about it, and George actively hates it.
It sucks.
Right,
Right,
so that's you have literally the three reactions. You have like, George hates it, I
love it,
Alex
neutral, hate it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me. It is the
Range of
emotional high point of the game for me. I
Yeah.
love this moment. It is the emotional high for me. I love Kara's story. I think it ends kind of shittily, but it's disappointing. Like we all agree that reveal sucks.
Yeah.
But-
yeah, that part of it, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't wanna
Worst
talk about that.
designed
Yeah.
bullshit.
Fine, get
Should have
that.
been a level maybe category, but that moment is so good. It's like I think it builds that really really well. Like throughout the course of what's kind of come before that, to get to that point, to get to that moment. I really loved it. I think it's really sweet. I think it's really beautiful. It is a game that it is a moment that also made me kind of get choked up. But ultimately, I mean, Alex would be one thing, but George is just George actively hates
I think
the moment.
it's absolute
Yeah,
attack. I think.
Yeah,
it's,
and
but
so,
that's me.
but like, I really like the moment.
Sure,
so
that's
I
fair.
just want to give that
To explain to the
shout-out.
viewers, if you haven't played Detroit, this is a moment where Kara,
Kara,
the android,
yeah, and
and
Alice.
the little girl are trying to find a place to stay, and they
Mhm.
find this like old abandoned amusement park.
Yeah, after the
and
car
they-
breaks down, and they
Yeah,
make
and
their
they
way there.
also run into a group of rogue androids who they think are there to hurt them, but they're actually
Mhm.
just there kind of to hang out. They're actually people who used to work in the abandoned amusement park.
Mhm.
And this whole scene ends. There's a conversations that happen in this like
yeah, the
sort of
conversations are
moment.
important, but yeah,
Yeah, but also it ends with there's a merry-go-round, if I remember correctly.
it's a merry-go-round. Yeah,
And I forget the little girl's name, but they
Alice.
have a moment where they actually stop to enjoy what's happening.
yeah.
For me, I think it's so cliche and so.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't
Yeah.
think the moment is the greatest version of that ever done.
Mhm.
I don't think it's anything like a scene with like giraffes, for example. But I think it's still.
Or another
Good.
merry-go-round scene from a DLC
Hey.
expansion to a similar game.
Hey, also true.
Yeah.
It's not even
There we
the
go.
best merry-go-round scene in a video game, but
Yeah.
it is.
That's one.
I still enjoyed it. I still liked it. I still think it is really good. And like how, again, like the dialogue that kind of happens between Kara and Alice and Luther and Alice and Kara and Luther all right before that, I think lend that some credence. And also, fact, like that level kind of misleads by being a really kind of creepy and ominous level up until that point in that big kind of reveal where the like androids aren't there to hurt them. They're just kind of be goofy kind of tour guide androids. I really liked. I thought it's really well done. Again, for me, that was like the high point of Car Storyline, and from that point onwards, it just kind of kept being a bit of like, I'd already got what I'd want out of this. And so I really liked the moment a lot, but obviously I'm saying we should get rid of it. Tetris Effect, I don't really, I mean, just one of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
whatever,
fine.
But we'll get to that later.
I
The
We'll
messenger
have
is the big one. The big one for me for the messenger effect, like that's not even my favorite level from the messenger. I
Yeah.
like Bamboo Grove. It's not even my favorite level. It's not Alex's favorite level either.
I know Quinn.
it's
I know
twins,
Quinn
but
is
it's
your
like-
favorite level, and I do like it a
But-
lot. It's the thing is like there's
Yeah.
no bad level in the messenger. It's the shitty part about
No.
it.
But it's just
Um,
like it's not my favorite.
I just-
level.
I like-
I'm not gonna-
Personally, Quinn, and I don't know where you're at with this. Like no level of the messenger is gonna hit this. No individual level of the messenger.
Yeah.
I say is gonna hit
I can
the
see
high of
that.
the Celeste level. I personally, I think, and I know that's true for you as well, probably. So
Well, let me just give my like thing on Bamboo Grove real quick.
Sure.
yeah, dude.
Because we're taught with like 8-bit games that you go through a stage, at the end of the stage there's a boss,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk to the merchant and you chat with him, and he's like, yeah, there's like this, so it's so chill here, there's no like, there's basically nothing that's going to hurt you. Then by the time you get to the end of the stage, there's literally no boss.
Yes.
And it not only like for me flipped like traditional 8-bit game design on its head, and was
I mean,
like,
platform design in general.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like, it just said, fuck this, we're not doing that.
And
And
the best part is like there's a boss room, but with nothing in it.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I love about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's also
Is this
personally
early in the game, I assume?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
fourth
it's
level,
very early.
I think, third or fourth.
Yeah.
it's also my favorite music track in the game.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, I love the aesthetic of it because
Yeah. I love the look of the level. Yes.
because every level is like mostly dark and it like has darker tones to it. And this is the only level where it stood out to me like bright, like muted, not like muted, but Like,
But like that NES palette style green and
ominous.
blue,
it
yeah.
was, like happy and like optimistic, and I just really loved it.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's like
Yes.
it's great too because like the level before it, the Crystal Caverns or the Emerald Caverns or whatever, is so like dour.
Sucks.
I like that level a lot, but the boss of that is like this big hulking monster, and then you immediately jump into like the fucking most jolly level in the whole game.
Kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's
Okay.
turns game design on its head, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a very good level.
Pick a Tetris game.
How do we
Okay,
feel
oh.
about
mean-
Celeste, God of War, and Florence?
Yeah. Oh well.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm making the hard cuts.
I'm here for that. We can do that.
I think
Do you
that's.
want to give it? I mean,
I want
you-
I guess you guys have already talked about Tetris, so we can just do. I can give a thing to
Yeah,
Red Dead.
I want to
then.
talk about the Red Dead. You talked about it on the podcast.
A little bit, yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like I can get more in depth with it here because we've just spoiled the shit out of everything.
Hell yeah.
But
Yeah.
this level occurs in chapter 3 or 4 of Red Dead 2.
It's two.
Is it chapter 2?
No, it's not chapter 2. It's
chapter
after
2.
that. It's after that. The one that I'm thinking of specifically. And it's basically it's literally just like, and like most Red Dead, it's also like a great microcosm of my like feelings on Red Dead,
Mm-hmm.
where it literally is like it starts off and it's like Dutch and Hosea and Arthur have all kind of moved to like the new camp, whatever, and getting things set up. And so they're in the midst of doing that. Then they're kind of figuring everything out, and Dutch just kind of goes, "Hey, let's just all just fucking like just go fishing together. Let's just do it." And like you could like ultimately when you get to a certain point level, you can like just not do it, like because ultimately you get like sidetracked like by the dumb bullshit that Red Dead makes you do a lot of times in the game. But like once you get with like that bullshit of like doing whatever, you actually go fishing, and that's just like it's literally just the three of you, Arthur and literally his like two father figures, just on a boat fishing, just telling stories and like talking, like actually just talking to each other. And it's great. It's like it's a moment for me where like 3 chapters into the game, or whatever it is, like where it clicked and was like, oh, this is what I want Red Dead to be all the time. And it's not a lot of the time, but like that moment was just them all just kind of sharing, where I actually felt like it was a like family dynamic. It was a family moment. Still 3 chapters and it like godly amount of hours later is still probably my favorite moment of the entire game, because it's it felt so earned, it felt so like real, it felt so genuine, right? Like it wasn't just like a kind of like slow camera pan cutscene to like here's like the big like emotional moment. Like it was just them having a bunch of real like jokey stories, and how like they would naturally kind of segue into kind of like a heartfelt moment for going back and like a joke again and going back into the heartfelt, like, and it like the way that it wove back and forth between Arthur and his like the bond he has with Hosea and the one that he has with Dutch, and the bond that Hosea and Dutch have together. I really, really loved, and it's such a standout moment in that game that is technically like missable. Like you could not do that again, because once you get done with like the thing you have to do before that mission, you can just not go fishing. Or once you get to the lake, you can only go fishing for like a minute if you want and then leave. But if you just stay there for like minutes, like 5-10, like you can just fish for like forever basically, and they'll just keep telling stories, just keep talking. And it's awesome. And it absolutely, that's something for me where it's like, I loved that moment in Red Dead. I have a lot of problems with Red Dead 2, but that moment is so perfect.
Yeah.
And so I would give a shout out to that.
And I would say like we talked about it on IP, like
Yes.
a little bit more of like your total thoughts on that, and obviously there'll be something out there at some point of more condensing that for folks to check out, whether it's like a review or something a little bit more specific. But yeah, that seems like a cool moment. I'll say like the early game kind of equivalent of that for me was like when you go get drunk with what's his name?
Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny. This is very cool. It's a good moment.
It's very, very funny.
I don't know what wins, guys.
We are down to Celeste, the climb to the summit, the kind of last stage of that. God of War returning back home for a weapon, and Florence first date. I mean, like I'll say this, right? For me, and I'll just say my piece, and then y'all can duke it out or whatever. I'll go like get lunch or something. The Celeste and Florence moments seem to speak to me more. I I really liked what I heard about Florence. I'm really bummed that I never played it, but like
You should definitely still play it.
I want to play it.
Yeah.
I just know I don't want to overextend myself because I also like have other things I want to try. But yeah, obviously
This is a bummer because it's the most Alex O'Neill video game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it is. Like, I think George agrees with this too. Like, it seems like a very Logan-ass and a very Alex O'Neill-ass video game.
Anyways,
I obviously adore that fucking video game. And so it's like the moment is again like that's why when like I had this conversation with George, where it's like literally I could pick any fucking moment from Florence and I'd be okay with it being the top 3. Like that game just has so many great moments to it, and that first shade's great. Celeste obviously is the one that speaks to me the less, but I think Florence and God of War are both fantastic moments.
I can't believe this God of War moment seems to be the winner for me, just because I think the Celeste moment, in story-wise, in terms of the arc of the whole game, is really good. But in terms of a level, you just go back to climb the mountain again really quickly, and for me, that didn't do much. I liked revisiting those levels because I like those levels, and I like the aesthetic of it specifically. But
I think like the thing, and I bet Quinn, you would probably be with me on this, like the fact that like now the whole game is totally different because you had like a literal internal epiphany. Like you were rewarded for accepting yourself. I guess you haven't gotten to this point, Logan, but like you were rewarded for kind of facing your demons with an actual mechanical evolution of yourself. And it's amazing. It's like,
you're right.
I'm not someone who suffers from anxiety. So like, that's changing as every fucking day passes. But like, it is not like I've not had a panic attack really. I've had some, but like not to the extent that they kind of get into in Celeste. And anxiety is very much the mental illness that they are trying to encapsulate with that game. And I think they do a fucking incredible job personally. But like this moment of like, I have grown as a person, and that translating into video games of like, I have a double jump. Like it's so fucking cool. Like, I think that it's just so amazing. Like how this
specifically, for folks who are maybe confused, I don't think we mentioned it. In Celeste, you have sort of the physical manifestation of her like anxiety, and some of her depression and the stuff, like all those bad feelings are sort of giving a physical manifestation through like a negative version of Madeline. And throughout the game, she's seen sort of like a bad guy, but at the end of the game, you realize that she is still a part of you, and then you have to sort of work together. And that is then manifested into game design by giving you, like Alex mentioned, the ability to get through like these final levels differently, and in some ways a lot easier.
It's so cool.
And I'm gonna just speak to this because
do it.
This is my favorite moment of the game, and I love Celeste like a lot. So when you get this ability, when you confront your demons, so to speak, this actual demons in front of you, you're already at this underground cave. You've fallen at you're below from where you started. Then because you the grips with who you are, you're climbing, you're stronger, and you're doing it faster than you ever were. And as you go through all the levels again, it's like you're knowing because you already understand what the levels were, and it's this quick of like breezing through. And not only that, the music in this
music is very good.
It's fucking so good.
So the music is very
good.
Yeah,
because it's not the same tracks from the levels you played before. It's basically them nuanced and remixed, and it just fits so perfectly because the tracks are like one way. And these are
like George is like
tracks. Then you get there, you get to the summit, and it's this beautiful moment. It's this, you couldn't have done this without knowing who you are, without facing your demons. And you get to the top, and it's this moment of like euphoria of like, I did it, and like, it's beautiful. And it's like the whole point of fucking Celeste is her coming to this mountain because she doesn't know what the hell she's doing with her life. Then from that moment, it's like, I know there's clarity. Like, I've come to grips with who I am. I've come to grips with my demons. And it's literally like this fall, then it's this moment of like connection, realization.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so beautiful and it's so well done and it's so executed.
Yeah. And like for me, like the way it translates mechanically and design wise into that level is just so clever. You know, a thing about Celeste that like I got hung up on a lot of those earlier levels because like each level essentially has a gimmick and like some of those gimmicks work and some of them don't, I think,
Some of them
personally.
don't, yeah.
Yeah. And the way they give you kind of this new mechanic that totally changes how those gimmicks work when you're going back through all those gimmicks again. And it's like, I like this now. Like I had a moment where like going through the kind of hotel part of that final level, I was like, this is actually really cool because of the way this works now that I have changed. And it's just like them tying the mechanic into the narrative through line of that. To be fair, like you could say the same of God of War. I think like a lot of this similar nuance comes out in how that game changes mechanically too. Just, you know, Celeste was, I ended up enjoying it more. And like as someone who had a lot of problems with the first half of that game and then really liked the second half of that game, and then the payoff is like this really phenomenal level design that actually made me like the earlier parts of that game more because it kind of tied itself into the metaphor more of the game. Like it worked really, really hard for me. I know like I said I didn't have a leg in this horse. I guess I was wrong. Yeah, Mike Scott, you guys, I feel like.
How do you guys feel?
Yeah.
I mean, so the problem with me with Celeste specifically is more that when I hit that hotel level, I just kind of
It's rough.
felt like I was, and I also felt like I was just kind of going through emotion at a certain point. It was just like it just wasn't becoming fun to me.
Mhm.
But I knew, hearing enough about the game over the course of the year, that like there was more to like the story and like the, you know, the character growth, and like that's the stuff I wanted to see. So like I hit that point and just kind of turned on a lot of the assist modes. So like by the time I had gotten to that summit, you guys tell me like now I have a double jump, like that was completely lost on me.
I think that's why I don't feel it. Yep.
I had like infinite movements and infinite jumps. Like
the same
that's
thing.
the assist modes were all on. So like that was that moment of like I obviously got the moment of like she's come together with this like demon that is been attacking her, but like the mechanic, like you're talking about the mechanical changes that it makes to the actual game, and like and fundamentally shows like how like you've progressed. Like that all of that was lost completely on me because I was just like, I want to see the story aspects of this because that's what kind of everyone was talking about. So I just started turning that stuff on as I progressed to points where it was just like, I don't feel like dealing with this right now.
And I'm honestly okay not going back.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I didn't know about the assist mode when I played the game is the thing. So like, you know, keep in mind my opinion is colored by that too. So I get it though. That does change it a lot. So
but at the same time, it's like the other one, like I haven't played Florence, but I literally downloaded it onto my phone earlier today.
45 minutes. It's 45 minutes to play the game.
So like good. I'll play it, and then like with the God of War,
with Florence, I'm fine that it's even made it this far. Like,
right.
In a way, yeah.
You guys talking about it like really did get me really interested in it.
I also don't want to build expectation too much. Also,
same.
You what?
I don't want to build the expectations.
Yeah,
for folks,
like I do think at the end that like we should have a conversation about for the actual like top 10 list because it's such an easy game for everybody to play too. Like it's 45 minutes long, but like top 3, I'm happy with that. But like,
and then
also I don't care about God of War that much.
Yeah, so that's the thing of like.
But on paper,
I do I completely agree with a lot of what was said by I think Scott and Logan earlier about the sequence. The one thing I would say is like I kind of totally expected the Blades of Chaos to show up in some capacity, so it wasn't some like mind-blowing thing to me, but it was more just like how they not only brought them back, but then they made them like, here's a weapon I now have, and now they work in the game well and make sense. How they
you're cutting in and out, Mike.
Mike's gone.
Mike's point is too hard.
Yeah.
Like he has oh yeah, I'm kind of cutting it out already.
Yeah. You're stable now.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of been jumpy, but I think they handled that aspect of like Kratos obviously didn't like when that point comes, he didn't have a choice, so he had to kind of go and get those. And I thought like again, it was already said. So ultimately, like I feel like I'm the one who has no horse in this race, really, because all of these things were not really like, oh
Scott,
my god, for me.
Yeah, Scott.
Where you at?
In terms of me, like I pretty much got to the hotel part of Celeste, and then I kind of put it down because I liked it, but it came out literally a day before Dragon Ball Fighters, which grabbed my attention much harder.
Hell yeah, best moment.
I mean, that's much more my game
on screen.
Yeah.
That's much more my gameplay style or my interest. I'm big into fighters, so I enjoyed it the time I played, but with the hotel level, I kind of put it down as well, and I didn't get to that summit part. So I haven't played Florence yet. I definitely want to pick it up just because it, like you guys were saying, it does sound fantastic. So really the only choice that I have an actual attachment to is the God of War portion where he goes back home. And I do think it's one of the strongest moments of the year, and that on rails level kind of design to it. I thought it was very strong and very well done. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think only me and George have played all three of these.
Yeah. And I think...
And it's for me, yeah, Florence, I agree with George. Like, I'm here for just being top three, y'all.
Yeah, me too.
And then it's that thing of like Celeste, I think, has partially gotten a disservice because I played a game that is so similar to it in Rage and Peace right before it. And that game is fucking hard.
Yeah.
And Celeste is not easy either. And I refuse to do assist mode. But I also just think that, like, and that also has a comparison of, like, I think Rage and Peace is a lot of what Celeste does better in a lot of ways. I like its musical choices better too.
I'm not going here.
but that's my point.
Yeah,
so, like,
that's where you're.
But like,
from.
and so like, and a lot of things I look at and be like, I just feel like the game I just played that I liked a lot, but like, I would never say Rage and Peace is like a best moment for me. So like, Celeste is like, yeah, all right, like, I get it, but like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So
whereas God of War is just like, I think that's a moment and a thing, like a designed thing from beginning to end that is just really well done. Like in a game you might not like, that segment's really great and really stand out, right? And
I think
that's what I would say.
I think to some extent the same is true of Celeste too. In a game, like if you didn't necessarily like Celeste, I think it does come.
I mean,
together.
like all I can say, like I haven't gotten to that moment yet in Celeste, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm almost at the end of chapter 5, getting to start chapter 6, but it's like I mean, like to your point, like I haven't gotten there yet, right? And so it's like we're getting to the end of the finish line here for me, even like loving it at all, even. And so just like I don't think when I get that moment I'll be like, now I get it. And if I do, it'll be like there's still 6 chapters that weren't this.
I was in a similar spot as like where you are as you are. So like, you know, it did a lot of that game did come together for me. It culminated for me. So like, you know, I personally am the most invested in Celeste. Yeah. Like everything that you said, Quinn, of like, it's so fucking beautiful. Like it's such a trip, you know, it's a very cliche metaphor to some extent, but like it's done in such a way that I didn't expect. Like I didn't know what Celeste was about going into it. So like everything surprised me. I think like the expectations have been kind of set pretty high since then, and that's a bummer. I partially feel like Celeste is like homecoming for me. Where again, like I for like a year I was just told there's no movie you're gonna love ever more than Spider-Man. Yeah, and so like for years I just kept told like it's such a fucking Logan movie. And it's like, all right, cool, I'm here for it. And then if I watch it, like, yeah, it's a good Spider-Man movie, but like I was just like, it's not this amazing masterpiece. And for us, it's been a year of people being like, it's fucking lit, and then I play it and it's like it's a good video game, but it's just like the bar has been like the bar's been set.
I don't think it's a home run game to begin with. It's already just like, well, all right, yeah, like
should we go with emotion on this one from the room? I know Scott, you really like that God of War moment. But...
Well, it's the only one I can honestly relate to because I haven't
got
Celeste. I haven't played Florence, so literally my only.
I feel like where we're at is that me and Scott are going to say God of War. I feel like Alex and Quinn are going to say Celeste. I feel
And
like
I'm fine.
George is going to be fine with God of War, and I think Mike is going to say God of War.
No,
I would
I
say.
was going to say I'm fine with Celeste because Alex and
Well, then we have a tie, basically.
That's-
But like,
both
you know,
of them?
this isn't a
Whatever,
vote.
see.
Like, this is us. Like,
No, but like obviously not. But I'm just saying that's where I think the room is at right now.
yeah,
Can I just speak to that God of War moment? Because I wasn't able to talk about it.
sure.
Yeah.
I found it so predictable.
Mm-hmm.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Like,
I mean, like,
there was no
I-
doubt in my mind that I was
No,
going to get
but like,
this.
but like that's that. Like,
I did
All
too.
right.
Like, I did too. Like,
all right.
that is like the criticism of that moment.
Like I don't think the moment is like for me. Like I was never like I don't know. Like
It's done well.
It's
getting
done
the
well.
blades is not like it's the journey that happens from point A to point B.
Sure.
Right?
Mhm.
It is that's what it is. Like the blades itself is like the service of that moment, but it's and like again I think kind of the cathartic moment that comes at the end of that where you do unleash everything. But like, I don't know. Like I think is it predictable that he gets the blades at some point in the game? Probably yeah, but like I don't necessarily think it's like how it's done and presented in that way is predictable at all. Like I
Yeah.
reject that notion.
Yeah,
but like,
I think like the like you said, like the boat ride leading up to it, like the
yeah, I
shot
don't think
with
anything
Athena.
there is predictable. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
the weather changing and the music score.
Yeah, like I think the presentation around it is very good.
The design of the level.
Yeah.
the design of the level is very good.
But the climax was like getting the blades. Then
Sure.
But
And
I reject that's the climax. That wasn't. I mean, like for me, again, like I think the
What's
peak of there
aha
is the boat ride. Is
Mhm.
that's the emotional climax with him and Athena in the boat.
But you also liked like the little tutorialization after.
Mhm.
I don't.
Yeah,
didn't really know
Yeah,
if
Scott
it's a
liked it. Scott
tutorial.
liked that.
Yeah,
part.
I
think it was
mean-
cool. It made sense to have it. It was like the BFG moment in Doom, right, where they have
Yeah.
that giant room.
I would challenge us here at this point because we are in this tricky situation to not try and pull out a winner by taking something away from the others. Like I would say, let's
I
look
agree.
at let's look at all of
Savage.
these. It is a thing. It's super easy to do in Game of the Year, and that's why I
Yeah.
hate it.
Uh-huh.
Of
There you
like,
go.
let's dunk on the thing that I don't want to win. Because I want this other thing to win that I like
Yeah.
more. I think let us look at this of like these are all very very good moments. Like these are our top 3 moments of the year for sure. And just
Yeah.
and just come to
Well,
a compromise.
let's look at it from like an analytical, I guess, perspective, because the category that these 3 are nominated for
Best level.
is best design level.
Mm-hmm.
/ I mean,
So
okay.
so let's just look at it from we obviously all have
Celeste is literally level.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is more. It's a more literal thing. I think like to Logan's point though, like we have expanded
the
a
best
little bit
moment.
to moment and
Yeah.
sequence as well. Like
right. It's more of a
And
segment.
more to the point, I'd also argue God of War's thing is a level 2.
yeah.
Right. And I think of the boat ride is more of like an on rails level.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has a very strong beginning, middle, end level kind of structure, even though it's kind of like a mission or a segment,
Yeah.
and not a level.
And like what I would say is that like,
But-
I think Celeste has a ton of merit. I mean, obviously, I think it's totally like it's justified in what I think it's earned in that moment, and I think obviously the impact it had on at least on at least Quinn and Alex, and George to a degree as well. But I mean, I also think that like I think at the very least, me, Mike, and Scott all either quit before we got there or just aren't there yet in my case, but I have definitely more mixed feelings on Celeste as a whole.
Yeah.
Whereas at least I mean George and I think Alex can at least like respect, at least appreciate what that moment is, in addition to myself, Mike, and Scott, right? Like there's at least an appreciation for what that moment, even with the issues we might have for the game as a whole, which I think we all have issues with that game.
Mm-hmm.
We at least recognize that moment and that kind of segment and that level as really stand out as really something special within the year, right? Like I don't think anybody's object to that being called like one of the best moments,
Sure.
and one of the best kind of level designs in the year.
All
right?
3 of
So,
these
like,
are in this category.
yeah, so that's what I would say.
What if we just let Florence win?
Yep.
I was about to throw the wild
You
card.
know
out.
what?
Yeah, the wild card.
Sure. It's very good.
It's a very good
It's
moment.
very good.
Very
I mean, like
fucking
I think it's like we're not going to come to an agreement on God of War versus Celeste. It's just not. Gonna happen.
I think there is one, and I think I think that's possible.
But I will also say
I also think if the back course is like Florence wins, like, well, also like, I mean,
I will also say that I teared up.
You gotta convince me.
I teared up during the Florence moment, but I don't want to hype it up because that moment was so good. I don't want to hype it up.
Yeah,
like I'm honestly even upset we've had to talk as much about Florence as we've had. Honestly, like I would have liked to have said nothing. Like you'd not even known anything about it. I would have preferred.
Because like I think at this point, because of the conversation I've had, I'm not saying this is true, but because of the conversation we've had, like if God of War wins over Celeste,
I wouldn't feel good about that.
I wouldn't feel good about that. I know Quinn, you wouldn't feel good about that. If Celeste wins over God of War, Logan, Scott, I know you guys wouldn't feel good about that.
Well, I adamantly wouldn't.
But again, that's because of the conversation we've had.
Well, don't necessarily join me. Like, it's not that I would care when, like, the main reason I feel so strongly about God of War is in these 3 games, it is the one I have played. I have beaten. It's not that if I get to that part in Celeste that I'll be like, oh, I'm so glad that God of War won. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's not so much I'm going to be butthurt. I mean, guys, Mike did the only one.
Hey, I was gonna say I'm pretty indifferent on all of this. I'm just kind of sitting here on the ride, being like, oh, it's like 12:58 right now. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I submitted an actual like town because I thought we were just talking about like a town or like a level we really liked. So at this point,
yeah,
Scott's in the fucking like woods and he'd be like, I thought we were going to a whole different party, guys. I
thought we were just literally like a level.
I was kind of in the same boat.
Yeah,
but
I think
literally because I put a boat on the list.
Yeah, you put a boat.
But Mike, to that thing, the boat's the whole game.
Yeah, the boat's the whole game. That's the twist.
Hell yeah!
But like, I would say, like,
holy shit.
I think to some extent,
this is such a great line.
This is really good. Mike's had a couple when we played Smash Brothers the other night. It was we said some shit.
I get loopy when it's this late because I'm usually not up this late. I'm an old man.
I think the thing is, like, my point being, if Florence won, I don't think any of us would feel bad about that. I think
two of us would feel good.
I think all of us would feel, at the very least, pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Because
I really liked what you said about Florence. Like, I'm not kidding.
Like,
I fucking am. Yeah. I just bought Florence on my phone. So
yeah,
like,
I bought
that's really the best part is just seeing Mike and then Scott, and then now you just being like, well, I got Florence on my phone, and it's like, good.
I'll probably play it after this.
I hope you guys like it.
I really like. Jin, I just hope you enjoy the game at all at this.
Does
point.
that sound like an okay compromise?
Yeah, it does. And
sure,
I'll just say, the reason that moment in God of War didn't do anything for me is because I didn't play any of the prior games, so I don't know any of these characters.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
so. Like all that lore, all that backstory is completely over my head because
I would disagree with that for what it's worth. But
I think
that moment's still earned, even if you haven't played a God of War game before.
It definitely has way more of a punch, though.
Sure, but I think you can play Uncharted 4 without playing 1, 2, and 3 and still get the emotional kind of beats.
Or you can just play all of them and then play 4.
I think like in a situation like it hits as hard though because of that.
Sure, I'm not denying there's extra weight there. I also just saying like I do think you can experience.
So where it would be for you would be higher than for like someone who didn't have that kind of history coming into it.
And that's why.
Totally.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think all of these are good moments, and I think
for sure
we can feel good about this list.
There is one thing I think that we can all agree on.
Yeah.
It's next year. We come up with a better name for this segment than best design level.
Best story category, so we don't have to do this like weird like hybrid thing where we have to like
moment segment level.
Yeah, moment segment level design.
I still like where with these 3.
I love these. I mean, I have
really
no problem
love
with these 3.
Yeah,
I'm fine with them.
Okay.
So best design level goes to the first 8 in Florence, with runners up being Celeste and the Climb to the Summit and God of War returning back home for a weapon. And thank you to all the other ones. Real quick, because I shout out to Nabashin for our we have the IPP Game of the Year stuff. He has a huge stock of it. We also have like best experience / moment in there. One I didn't think of, and it, to be fair, doesn't necessarily fit this. I just want to give it a shout out because we're in it. Is like the moment that the messenger becomes a Metroidvania. Is really cool. So the literally that moment of like the world becoming a design level and you being able to explore it freely. So I want to shout that out. But that's it. That's day one of our Game of the Year deliberations. It only took us 3 hours and 25 minutes to do 2 categories.
Christ.
Just think about that for the rest of your life, because God knows I will.
This is maybe supposed to be the easy day too. That's the thing.
Nope.
No, I didn't think this was going to be the easy day though. But I'm sorry, Jared.
You literally said an hour and a half before we got on.
I mean,
that, and you guys all jumped on me because I said I put my boat on over.
Let's just wrap it up, folks.
So to summarize, 2 categories today. Best old game of the year goes to Hollow Knight, with runners up being Splatoon 2 and Rayman Legends. Best design level goes to The First Date in Florence. Runners up being The Climb to the Summit and Celeste, and Returning Back Home for a Weapon from God of War. That is day one of our editorial deliberations. We have 3 more days and 6 more categories. We haven't actually, I guess that promo will be out, so we'll have announced the categories. I forgot about that. But yeah, so next tomorrow, in theory, assuming everything goes according to plan, we will be doing best surprise and best music. So if you thought today was hard,
I was gonna say, if you thought, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you thought today was gonna be, it's
best music is going to be a bloodbath.
Best
that
is going to be a bloodbath.
I don't think so.
Well, you're wrong, George.
It is gonna. I think that could be the more divisive than the top 10 itself. Could be best music.
I think there's definitely a possibility for that. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Obviously, if you like this, keep listening. We'll be going through all of our reflections of 2018 in video games throughout the rest of the week with videos. We should have videos of each kind of winner. Is a little bit more kind of like a summarize, like here's what won, the end.
Yeah. You have to watch
that'd be a fun thing to do for Florence, George.
You don't have to watch a 3.5 hour podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But you filthy animals love this, so we're
eat
doing
it
it
up.
for you. Eat it up. Nah. George is specifically here for it, I believe.
He's got his Mexican hot chocolate in his
Hope
bear mug.
Hope it's not cold now.
Yeah.
I'm getting like, I don't know. I'm getting increasingly weird. I don't know if I like other people saying Mexican hot chocolate other than like George, the way that we're saying it.
Sorry,
I'm
I
gonna
called George
now
White at the
and
beginning of
say
this
that
podcast. So.
I mean,
Let's
I'm
wrap
just
this up.
going by
wrap it
exactly what he said. So
Let's wrap it up. This is Logan messing up here, so let's just.
Thank you everybody for listening. We will catch you guys tomorrow with more Game of the Year.
Deuces, y'all.
later.